Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you for being here today. And we're getting ready to begin our meeting for November 7th, 2017. I will now call this meeting to order. And I would like for Daniel Williams, who is the ASB president at Middle College High School, to come forward and lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Or thank you, Mr. Williams. Before we do the adoption of the agenda, I'm going to ask all of us if we could just reflect on our lives and what has happened in the past few months, in the past few years. The most recent being this past Sunday, when at least 26 people lost their lives, of which 12 were our children. So if we could, let's just have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you so much. As in San Bernardino, a couple of years ago, we have become stronger, and we know in Sutherland Springs, Texas, they will also. But we will continue praying for peace for this country, for this state, and certainly for San Bernardino. Adoption of agenda, item 1.3.
Second.
Okay, let's vote, please. Mr. Tillman, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And at this time, Dr. Marsden would like to share some information with us.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. And I wanted to make sure that we announced some of our newest hires, vice principals, assistant directors, principals from some of our schools. While our community's here, it's important for you to meet them. And so as I call their name, if they could please stand. They're all here as part of a 10-day onboarding process to introduce them to key staff, including tonight's board meeting. They all will have one-on-one meetings with every staff member, as well as key parent groups. And so we're excited to have with us tonight Anna Sosa, vice principal from Cajon High School. Welcome, Anna. You can wave at us, Anna. Very good. And Temet Rappa, Vice Principal at Cajon High School. Temet. And Lester Ojeda, Assistant Director of English Learners. Carrie Freeman, Vice Principal, Vermont Elementary School, back in the back. Letitia Villa, Principal at the Inland Career Education Center. And Bernardo Valenzuela, Principal of Royal Valley High School. Good evening and welcome to all of you, and thank you and good evening.
Thank you and welcome to the best district in this state. And we're glad to have you join us. And I only say that because we have good staff members, excellent staff members, wonderful parents, and outstanding students, every one of them. So again, thank you for joining our team. Session 2, special presentations. So board, I guess we will be lining.
Yes, correct.
Okay, let's line up and greet the Shining Star Award recipients, and we will stay for the Outstanding Student Awards.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our very first Shining Star Awards program. On behalf of the Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Del Marsden, let me express my sincere gratitude to all of the dedicated guest teachers and substitute employees who work in the San Bernardino City Unified School District. You are an important part of our district's mission to make hope happen for our students and our entire community. We truly appreciate your hard work and dedication, and we are pleased to host this reception and awards program. It gives me great pleasure to present the Board of Education's inaugural 2017 Shining Stars Awards for exemplary service to 8 individuals who represent the many outstanding guest employees in our district. I'd like to thank the leaders of our employee unions for helping us to select worthy honorees. When I call your name, please come forward to greet the Board of Education and receive your Shining Star Award. We also invite the administrators and staff of your school, as well as your family, to come forward. Our guest teachers will be honored first, followed by our classified substitutes. And we will actually start by inviting Arroyo Valley High School's new principal, Mr. Bernardo Valenzuela, to come forward and greet the Board of Education. As you know, Bernardo is new to our district, and he is excited to lead the Hawks forward in their pursuit of excellence. Arroyo Valley High School guest teacher, Damian Lozano, is our first Shining Star Award recipient. As Damian makes his way forward, he has served as a guest teacher in various schools over the past 8 years. He's the kind of teacher who can always be trusted to deliver lesson plans with care and precision. In fact, many teachers request Damien by name because they know students respect him. Damien has a positive passion for working with high school students, and we're glad he's thinking of becoming a permanent teacher. Let's give him another round of applause. Wilson Elementary School guest teacher Emerita Rita Avalar is our next shining star. And will Principal Mr. Dennis Wolbert please join us along with anyone from your site? Rita has a passion for teaching children. She has consistently stepped into long-term teaching assignments and done so with sincere excitement and joy. Rita takes the time to get to know the needs of her students, and she works diligently to help them meet academic goals, even tutoring students after the school day is over. Rita, congratulations on your Shining Star Award. Audience, let's give her another round of applause. The next Shining Star Award goes to Adam Gusay. I also invite North Verdamont Elementary Principal, Mr. Dan Durst, and anyone else from the site to please come forward. Adam has served as a guest teacher at North Verdamont Elementary since the start of this school year. He eagerly welcomes the challenges that come with being a guest teacher. Adam's classroom management techniques are creative and effective. He is committed to forging positive relationships with students even if he works with them for just a few days or weeks. We salute Adam's commitment to being an exemplary guest teacher with this Shining Star Award. Let's give Adam another round of applause. The next Shining Star Award goes to Serrano Middle School guest teacher, Erica Slaughter. Erica is being joined by Serrano's principal, Mrs. Michelle Cleveland, and anyone else from the Serrano Middle School family. Erica is a product of San Bernardino City Schools, and she began working here while she was still in college. When Erica steps into a classroom, students give her respect and attention. She dedicates her free time to mentoring Serrano students, even if it means staying after school to support their activities. Congratulations, Erica, on your much-deserved Shining Star Award. Our next Shining Star Award goes to Marshall Elementary teacher Ramona Wright. As she is joined by Principal Denise Martinez and the rest of the Marshall School family, let me share a few things about Ramona. She has been a guest teacher at Marshall Elementary for more than 17 years. The colleagues see her as part of their team, and they welcome her as one of their own. Ramona goes above and beyond to help fellow guest teachers and interns succeed. We congratulate Ramona for her dedication, and we express our gratitude with the Shining Star Award. Let's congratulate Ramona one more time. Now that we have honored the phenomenal work of our guest teachers, it's time to recognize our substitute classified employees who also are instrumental to our daily operations. When I call your name, please come forward to receive your Shining Star Award. We also invite your supervisor and family members to join us. Our first classified substitute to receive the Shining Star Award is student intern Kayla Glacken. I would also like to ask Transportation Director Mrs. Marie Espinoza to please come forward. Kayla works in the Transportation Department where employees have come to count on her for a variety of tasks. Kayla provides excellent customer service to district families, taking the time to explain the processes and the procedures to them. Kayla has an upbeat personality, and she exhibits positive passion when it comes to helping our students get to and from school safely. For her devotion to our students and to our school district, we present this Shining Star Award to Kayla. Let's give her another round of applause. Scoot in, everyone. Our next recipient of the Shining Star Award is Aisha Johnson. Aisha works as a clerical substitute at Pacific High School, and she is being joined by Principal Dr. Natalie Raimundo and anyone else from the Pacific family. Aisha enjoys filling in where she is most needed, even if it means she has to learn new procedures. Aisha has worked as a secretary, clerk, health aide, attendance verifier, and more. This has given Aisha a wealth of valuable knowledge that she eagerly shares with colleagues. Aisha supports Pacific High School by attending football and basketball games after school. For her devotion to students, we recognize Aisha with this Shining Star Award. Let's give her a big round of applause. Our 8th and final employee to receive the Shining Star Award is Donna Martin, who could not be with us this evening. But we still want to honor Donna by telling you a little bit about makes her worthy of a Shining Star. She is a stellar employee who has worked temporarily in most positions in special education. She is excited to train new permanent employees, and we truly appreciate Donna's service. Let's give a round of applause to all of our Shining Star recipients. And now the Board of Education is pleased to honor students, parents, and volunteers and staff from Lincoln, Bonnie Ole, and Parkside Elementary Schools and Golden Valley Middle School. The board recognizes outstanding students to build self-esteem and honor excellence in academics, athletics, fine arts, citizenship, and most improvement. The San Bernardino Symphony is providing free concert tickets to all outstanding students and their families. And Assembly Member Mark Steinnorth is also presenting certificates to all of the honorees. As we call each honoree, will you and your family please come forward to greet the board and take a photo with Superintendent Marsden. Our first group of honorees are from Lincoln Elementary School and Principal Kevin Goodley. We also invite teacher Michelle Panos to join us. She teaches all of Lincoln's outstanding students. Let's give Michelle a big round of applause. Is she with us? Yeah. Our first outstanding student is 5th grader Yahira Gonzalez. Oh. Yahira's proud parents are Jessica and Gregorio Gonzalez. It's no surprise Yahira is so well liked. She is kind, polite, and respectful of everyone. She always gives her best effort, and she helps others to be their best selves as well. Yahira says, she would like to attend college and become a police officer. Let's give her a big round of applause. Next is 5th grader Destiny Pino. Would her proud guardian, Rebecca Montijo, please join us? Let's give Destiny a big round of applause. Destiny is a top student, earning the second highest scores in her class. She is a role model for her peers, and she's always demonstrating a commitment to learning. Destiny says when she grows up, she wants to attend Cal Poly Pomona and become a special education teacher. Now we honor fifth grader Angela Stevens. Will Angela and her proud parents, Heidi and Nicholas Stevens, please join us down front? Angela is a top student in academics and citizenship. She consistently earns top marks in all subjects and is polite and respectful. Angela is also very artistic. And ladies and gentlemen, this young lady has done her research. She says her goal is to attend Harvard University. We will now honor the outstanding parent from Lincoln Elementary, Priscilla Vignes. Will your proud family please join you? Priscilla is an active member of Lincoln School Site Council. She also supports her children and the school through consistent communication and a positive attitude. Let's give this outstanding parent volunteer a big round of applause. Our next honoree from Lincoln is cafeteria worker Kimberly Reset. Kimberly serves as a role model for punctuality and customer service. She is upbeat, she never complains, and she's always doing just a little extra in the cafeteria to keep students on schedule. Kimberly is a great asset to Lincoln. And our last honoree from Lincoln is SDC teacher Thomas Simonek. Let's give him a round of applause. Oh. Okay. Mr. Simonek is not able to be with us this evening, but Mr. Goodley has assured me he will get Thomas his award. So that concludes the group from Lincoln. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. Oh. And our next honoree is from Bonnie Old Elementary School. Let's welcome Principal Robert Morales. Our first honoree from Bonnie Old is third grader Soon Ya Chu. Will her proud parents, I.E.N. Chu and Joling Shu, and our teacher, James Trato, please come forward. Soon Ya has shown academic excellence all across the subjects that she studies. She is always focused on her work, as is enthusiastic about learning. Soon Ya says she wants to study medicine at either UCLA or UC Berkeley, and she wants to become a doctor. Let's give her a big round of applause. Next is fourth grader Ian Escobar. Will Ian's proud mother and father, Edwin Escobar Martinez and Janice Rodriguez, please come forward, along with teacher Lillian Stoff. Ian is a very responsible and respectful student. He comes to school ready to learn and is open to new perspectives. Ian wants to play baseball at UCLA, where he earns his degree, and he hopes to be drafted by the MLB. Let's give him a big round of applause. And now will sixth grader Mia Love please join us? Mia's proud mother is Crystal Buford, and her teacher is Iaret Baez. Would you please join us? Mia enjoys volunteering to help her classmates. She never gives up on her academic and music goals, and she doesn't want to give up on others either. Mia says she wants to attend La Sierra University or San Diego State, and her goal is to become a music teacher. Let's give her a round of applause. While our outstanding students pose for one last group photo, we will welcome outstanding parent volunteer Elizabeth Landers. Elizabeth, will you and your proud family please join us? Elizabeth makes Bonnie Ohl a great place for staff, students, and parents, thanks to her efforts to promote parent engagement. All schools need people like Elizabeth Landers who make it their daily choice to support the school site and make hope happen. Let's give Elizabeth another big round of applause. Bilingual community resource worker Ariana Aguilar, would you please come forward? Ariana always comes to work with a positive attitude. She takes great pride and care when working with students and families, and she does everything she can to help them overcome obstacles. Her efforts are greatly appreciated by all. Let's give her another round of applause. And now will teacher Anna Lopez please come forward? Anna and her family are welcome to come forward. Anna takes the extra time and effort to support all of our school stakeholders, not just the students. She is always professional and committed to doing what is best for Bonnie Ohl and the school community. She makes sure all students are prepared for success. Let's thank her for making hope happen. Next, we welcome Parkside Elementary School and Principal Cynthia Nicolaisen. Our first honoree from Parkside is first grader Jacoby Sewell. And his proud mother is Brittany Sewell. Will Jacoby's teacher, Emily Jane Cardona, please come forward as we share a little bit about what makes Jacoby special. Jacoby has made great progress in his behavior. He is able to complete tasks independently with little prompting and is more cooperative with his teachers and classmates. Jacoby has not quite decided on a career yet, but as a first grader, he has lots of time to try many different roles. Let's give him a big round of applause. Next is fourth grader Roma Valenzuela. Would her proud mother, Roxanne Cervantes, and teacher, Constance Phillips, please join us down front. Roma demonstrates good citizenship at all times. She has perfect attendance, she always completes her assignments, and she earns praise from her music teacher. Roma says she wants to attend college so she can become a chemist. Let's give Roma a big round of applause. Our next honoree is Melanie Vilos, a fifth grader in Renita Marshall's class. Will Melanie, her teacher, and her proud parents, Esmeralda Hernandez and Marco Vilos, please join us? Melanie is a natural leader. She is able to help her peers stay on task. She faces each assignment with enthusiasm, and she's willing to learn from her mistakes. Melanie loves softball and wants to attend a college with a good softball team so she can play and study medicine. Let's give her a big round of applause. While our Parkside students pose for a photo, let's invite Maria Garcia and her family to join us down front. Maria is the outstanding parent volunteer for Parkside Elementary School. She goes above and beyond in her parent involvement. She supports all students as a member of the school site council, and she serves on the English Learner Advisory Council. Parkside says they appreciate Maria's hard work and dedication. Let's give her a big round of applause. Our outstanding classified employee from Parkside is Secretary Holly Jacobs. Holly is the face and the voice of Parkside. She's often the first person students and parents interact with in the office. Her attention to detail, her focus on excellence, and her dedication to serving others has made her indispensable to the school and the district. Let's show our appreciation and give Holly another round of applause. Our next honoree is outstanding certificated employee Julia Jaxtis. Oh, Julie. Julie is an enthusiastic teacher who encourages and inspires her students with her gentle and kind nature. Julie truly believes in her students and could be found teaching with as much passion in her 15th year as she showed on her very first day of school. Let's give Julie another big round of applause. And last but not least, we have Golden Valley Middle School and Principal Kristen Baikandova. Standing in for Mrs. Baikandova is the administrative team from Golden Valley, which includes retired Principal Deborah Fields. We will begin by welcoming fifth grader Guadalupe Lupita Miza and her proud parents. Will Ana Miza de Nieves and Miguel Miza please come forward, along with Lupita's teacher, Kim Branch. Good to see you. Mrs. Branch said Lupita is very helpful in her classroom. She's taken the initiative to mentor her peers inside and outside of the classroom. She also has a great sense of humor and a positive attitude. Lupita says she wants to become a chef because she enjoys cooking and baking. Let's give her a round of applause. Will 8th grader Marcos Ambriz please come forward? His proud mother is Bonnie Garcia and Lorenzo Ambriz. And will Marcos' counselor, Teresa Ramos, also join us down front? Marcos is a great leader. He always thinks about others, and he always makes the choice to do the right thing. He currently has a 3.71 grade point average, and he's a member of ASB. Marcos says he wants to study architecture in college and design high-rise buildings for big cities. Let's give him a round of applause. Our final honoree is 8th grader Tamaija Paxton. She was nominated also by Teresa Ramos, and will Tamaija's proud mother, Deidre Hall, please join us down front. Tamaija is an intelligent, self-motivated, and responsible student. She maintains a 3.67 GPA. She studies hard, and she also enjoys competing with the explosive drill team in places like Las Vegas. Tamaija says she wants to become a registered nurse and work in the surgery or delivery room of a hospital. Let's give Tamaija another big round of applause. As our Golden Valley students will also pose for one more group photo, we are going to honor an outstanding parent volunteer from Golden Valley. Would Martha Miza please join us down front? Martha is a dedicated parent who provides endless support for Golden Valley Middle School. She is involved in the School Site Council and the English Learner Advisory Committee. Martha's support is truly appreciated. Let's give Martha and all of our parent volunteers a big round of applause. Our classified outstanding employee is attendance technician Stacy Grigsby. Would you and your family please come forward? Stacy is an outstanding employee. She believes attending extracurricular functions is key to keeping students engaged in learning. You will always see Stacy at sporting events, dances, and spirit competitions. And best of all, Stacy always has a smile for everyone she greets. Let's give her another big round of applause. And our final honoree from Golden Valley is lead counselor Teresa Ramos. I know you're here. Teresa models Golden Valley's key core values of trust, balance, fun, growth, and integrity every day. She works with staff to help them address the social and emotional needs of the middle school students. Her dedication to students has a truly positive impact on the school community. Let's give Teresa Ramos and all of the Golden Valley Middle School team a big round of applause. And as they pose for one final picture, I thank you for your attention, and this concludes the awards portion of tonight's program.
Thank you, parents, students, staff. Congratulations to everyone. If you just give us a couple of seconds, we will return in just a very few minutes. Thank you. Board, staff, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with our board meeting. We are now at item 2.3, school showcase and student report. And I will call up middle school, high school principal, Mr. James Espinoza.
Thank you, Dr. Hill, board members, Superintendent Marston, and Cabinet for the opportunity to be able to showcase tonight something our students participated in. You know, our mission and vision at Middle College is that students graduate from a four-year college of choice on the way to either a grad program or their careers. And everything we do focuses on that mission and vision. So tonight we'll be highlighting the UCR Mentoring Summer Internship Program. And to tell you a little more about that, I'd like to invite up our college and career lead and avid director, Mrs. Linda Etzel.
Good evening, board members and district staff. The Mentoring Summer Research Internship Program, otherwise known as MSRIP, was established in 1987, so it's been going on for 30 years. It's an 8-week summer research program designed for university juniors and seniors and some master students from educationally and or economically disadvantaged backgrounds. The participants work under supervision of a faculty mentor on the mentor's research project. The goal of MSRIP is to increase the number of outstanding students from diverse backgrounds to pursue their PhDs by strengthening their academic and professional development. More details about the program can be found in these books, which are available over here if you'd like to look at one. For the first time this past summer, 5 high school students and 2 Valley College students were invited to join the program. 4 of those students are here this evening. One of the students just finished taking a midterm at Valley College, so she couldn't be with us. But they were chosen to do scientific research with professors and graduate students at UCR. They were part of a grant that was a joint venture between UCR, San Bernardino Valley College, and Middle College High School. I was able to coordinate the Middle College High School part of the grant. Students took a field trip to UCR where they heard a bit about the research. The students were given the opportunity to apply for an internship position, and they received a $1,500 stipend for their 8 weeks of long hours and sometimes tedious work. I'm very proud to say that these students have opened the door widely for more high school students to participate in coming years. Their maturity, work ethic, and dedication to the projects were evident. I'm sure you'll enjoy hearing from them now. And I'm going to ask all 4 of them to come up for moral support, and they'll each present their little bit of the program.
Good evening. My name is Amberine Khan, and I'm a senior at Middle College High School. I plan to major in biology and attend a UC with a rigorous researching program. During the internship, I was placed under Dr. Margarita Cruz Colazzo's. I was placed under her project, which consisted of flame retardants in our everyday objects and how they affect mice, and to see if symptoms of autism can occur in mice, later on reflecting that onto human offspring. The one skill I learned during this internship was that there will always be delays and there will be many obstacles blocking your way to success, to what you want to accomplish. But I know that it's still possible to accomplish it. All I need to do is stay patient and slowly unwind those delay routes to get to my path, to get to my goal. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes?
So you mentioned something about autism and mice.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that they have mice that have autism.
Yes, what we did, we injected this compound, polybrominated diphenyl ethers. It's a compound found in flame retardants. And it seemed that because of that compound, mice gain higher symptoms of autism.
And you injected it when they were little or when they were full grown, or?
We injected the mother. We didn't inject it. We injected it in their cornflakes, in the mother's cornflakes.
While they were pregnant, and they ate it, and then?
Yes. And the results were that the mice did gain more symptoms of autism, especially the male offspring. But we're not sure why the male offspring were affected more, due to the fact that the internship program ended before I can research further.
And how many mice were in the litter?
There were about 6 mice.
And out of those 6, how many were affected?
All of them were affected.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
Dr. Flores?
So this ingredient, the chemical, what was its name?
Polybrominated diphenyl ethers.
Okay, is it found in any of our products that we ingest?
Yes, old couches and other furniture. It's found in there. And offspring who inhale the dust that's brushed off against from those objects, they risk getting autism.
Wow, so they're not ingested in our food, but are in dust particles
Yes.
from our, oh my goodness. Wow. What grade are you in?
I'm a senior.
Well, you're going to have a big, wonderful future.
Thank you.
Continue, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brianna Marquez, and I'm a senior at Middle College High School. Upon high school graduation, I plan on attending UCLA or UC Santa Barbara to major in mathematics and environmental science. Later on in life, I have career goals that consist of becoming a mathematics professor at a community college and also an environmental consultant for the county. For my research project at UCR, I looked at UCR's entire campus as an urban heat island. An urban heat island is an area that is much hotter in temperature than its surrounding environment. I was able to identify the hottest areas on UCR's campus by deploying 100 iButton sensors. An iButton sensor is a temperature sensor that records a variety of temperatures for weeks at a time. With the data collected from my research, I was able to conclude that parking lots were the hottest areas on campus that contributed more to the existence of this urban heat island. This experience has changed me by allowing me to explore an area in science that closely related to the general interest that I had in biology. By the end of the program, I realized that environmental science is a field that I would like to further explore after high school. I feel that this experience was a great preparation for future research that I plan on participating in at the four-year college that I plan to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jesus Trujillo. I I attend middle college, high school, and upon graduating from high school, I plan on getting a major in chemistry, and I would like to attend Cal State Pomona. While at UCR, I worked with a San Bernardino Valley College student named Osvaldo. While we were there, we worked on how antiscalants affect the buildup of salt in our water. And something I learned from my experience is that while you're doing research, you might start out with one problem, but that problem leads into multiple other problems. For example, we started looking at the salt, calcium phosphate. And by the end of the 8 weeks in the program, we started looking into calcium carbonate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Thais Peralta. I am a junior at Middle College High School. I am majoring in biology and plan on attending San Francisco State University. During my time at UCR, I worked on a lab which basically was working on extracting RNA from citrus plants to detect viruses. And what I learned from that lab is that in the beginning, you may not always get the results the outcome that you expected, but if you keep trying, you will eventually get the results that you hoped for. MISRIP was not only a great learning experience, but it was also a great job experience. Having to be there on time, following instructions. It was something you worked hard for in order to earn, but most importantly, learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'd just like to finish by saying, again, thank you, and we want to acknowledge some other people we'd like to acknowledge. Maria Franco Gallardo from UCR, Albert Manuel and Alejandra Campos from San Bernardino Valley College, and our SBC district for our supports of our students in doing things that are beyond the boundaries. And so we rely heavily on our partnerships to take our students a little further, and I think they demonstrated that tonight. So again, thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Espinoza. And thanks to all these students. What a great experience. Wish you the best. I know Dr. Marsden wants to say something, but there's a phone that keeps going off, and it's a little disturbing.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Turn it off. Thanks.
Board and community, our sincere compliments to Mr. Espinoza's leadership and his team at Middle College High School. The vision of this board, Mr. Espinoza is recognized as a leader in the field of middle college high schools. As you know, their school is one of the top 10 performing high schools in the state of California, and he's regularly called on among peers to see how do we expand these programs. And it's because of his leadership with San Bernardino Valley Community College staff that we now are looking at offering up to 3 courses on every high school campus. And so what's occurring here at Middle College High School, we're trying to learn from this model and say, how do we apply that for the success for all of our students? So Mr. Espinoza, thank you for your leadership. Students, fantastic job. Each of you has a promising, very promising future ahead for you. So congratulations. Well done.
Thank you again.
On behalf of the Middle College Wolverines, thank you, Dr. Marston.
Thank you. And would like to ask Daniel Williams if you would come forward. Daniel is going to present the student showcase, but let me share a little bit about him. Daniel is in his last year of dual enrollment at Middle College High School. He ranks in the top 10 of his class and is the class president, and he has been awarded the top student in his English, biology, anatomy, and AVID classes. Yeah, that deserves a round of applause.
Well done.
Daniel has taken part in many of the leadership groups on campus, including ASB, Focus Group, Peer Leaders, the School Site Council, and he is the acting secretary of the Black Student Union. Daniel also is the founder of the Middle College High School Nail Care Club. Hope we hear more about that. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm here to present some of the student reports from a few of the high schools in the district and the events that are occurring on their campuses. At Arroyo Valley High School, there was no report of any specific events. However, at Indian Springs, on Friday, October 27th, Indian Springs held their homecoming. They also held a blood drive on November 2nd. From November 13th to the 17th, it's their Kindness Week with the, quote, kindness activities happening during their school week. November 1st through November 15th, Indian Springs will be having a canned food drive. Next, I'll be going over Pacific High School. On November 15th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m., Rodriguez Prep will be at Pacific performing a music concert. On November 16th from 2 to 9 p.m., there will be a Latina History Bee. A blood drive will be held on November 8th all day in the gymnasium. Next is San Bernardino High School. On October 2nd, there is a school-wide request to all staff members to donate blood in response to the Las Vegas incident. On October 5th, there was a school-wide trip to the Universal Studios Haunted Horror Night. It was Wear Pink Fridays in October to show the support for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. San Bernardino had their homecoming on November 3rd. It was the first football game in their new stadium. During the halftime, they had a float competition and the crowning of the king and queen for their court. November 4th was their homecoming dance. The week of November 13th through the 17th, ASB will be collecting canned foods and dinner items to donate to their families during the Thanksgiving holiday. On December 2nd, San Bernardino staff and students will be observing a moment of silence for the victims of the San Bernardino terrorist attack, and balloons will be released at lunch in remembrance of each victim. Continuing in December, the Cardinal City ASB will be volunteering at Santa Claus Incorporated to help families with Christmas presents for their children. Also in December, the Cardinal City Cookie Company for the 6th year will once again volunteer at the California Theater's Christmas program by providing cookie decorating tables for adults and children. Middle College High School celebrates a successful Cultural Awareness Assembly this past Friday, November 3rd, and is planning to host their winter dance later in December. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again, Middle College High School. Appreciate all of your presentations. We move on to session 3.0, public hearings. On 3.1, charter renewal petition for SOAR Charter Academy. On September 22nd, 2017, Tricia Lancaster of the SOAR Charter Academy submitted a charter renewal petition to the Charter School Operations Department. At this time, a public hearing will be held to consider the level of support for the charter's renewal.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Marsden, Board President Dr. Hill, board members, and district staff. My name is Kaya, and I'm in the 8th grade. I have attended SOAR Charter Academy since the 5th grade. What makes SOAR different than other schools is the culture. The teachers and staff make you feel like a family. We are a family. They make it a safe learning environment. They help build character and celebrate our achievements. They teach us the 7 habits every day, such as being proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, synergize, and sharpen the saw. Learning the 7 habits is not only helping me presently, but has helped me have a different outlook what happened to me in the past. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This means to listen to what a person has to say instead of telling them what they should think or what you think. It also means that you should try and understand where they're coming from before you take anything that they're saying or doing personal. Before I came to SOAR, I had an issue. with a girl in my class. She was constantly bugging me and picking on me. My teacher encouraged us to do things together and help us work things out. I did not realize it at the time, but she was helping us understand. As I got to know her, I understood she was having trouble. People don't always know how to express their anger or sadness. Now that I have studied the 7 habits of SOAR, I understand how it is important to seek first to understand someone before I give them my opinion. If this situation were to happen today, I would have not waited so long to work things out. I now know that people have bad days, weeks, months, sometimes years, and that could all play a part on how they treat others. It is important to treat people to understand someone by listening and caring. This is why SOAR means a lot to me, and I feel like they deserve another 5 years in their charter. They learn kids like me how to be a better person and always make us do our best every day. I am going to conclude with a quote by Stephen Covey. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Listen with your heart. That's what I do.
Bless your heart. Thank you. Great job.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Erica Quevedo, and I'm the proud mother of Natalie and Nathan Gonzalez, who both attend SOAR Charter Academy. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present in support of renewing SOAR's charter. We come from a community that often faces much adversity. Poverty, violence, economic instability are just a few of the many obstacles students must overcome. We instill in our children that education is the key to success. Education is a great equalizer that can open the doors of opportunity. And while that is true, that is only half the story. Education coupled with hard work, discipline, determination, purpose, and passion is what allows these students to truly soar. Now, teaching passion and drive and purpose is not an easy task. We live in a time where we're often living for the next moment. People say, "Oh, I just can't wait for this day to be over. Can't wait for the weekend." And our children take that attitude. I just can't wait for school to finish. I can't wait till I'm in high school. Can't wait to graduate and get out of here. Without thought, we're just moving from one moment to the other. But at SOAR, my children look forward to school every day. As a matter of fact, I offered for them to take a day off from school to celebrate their grandma's birthday, and they both shut me down. They said that they have a goal for perfect attendance. My children love their school. They love their teachers and friends. They love learning, and every day they're growing into amazing little people. The hard work, discipline, passion, and purpose the founders and their staff have invested in SOAR Charter Academy is incredible, and you should be so proud to have them as part of your district. There's not enough time to tell you all the wonderful things that they're accomplishing, but I can try. SOAR's directors have created an environment that supports and advocates for their teachers. Teachers are empowered to teach. They're able to pursue their passion of impacting the lives of their students. They come to work excited, and that is contagious, not just to the students, but to their parents and their families. I remember Mrs. Ortega coming back from a conference and telling me all about the Leader in Me program. She was so impressed and eager to share it with all the staff. Not even a full year later, our school has implemented the Leader in Me program, and it's life-changing. These students are soaking in all of it and applying these 7 habits of success. My kindergartner at 5 years old comes home and tells me how he synergized with his friends and how we have to prioritize and put first things first. And my daughter approaches every day with beginning with the end in mind. She sets many goals for herself as stepping stones for her big dreams. And SOAR is not just building leaders, but they're building compassionate leaders who are engaged with their community. They are inspired to take responsibility and accountability for themselves, for their school, their families, and their greater communities. Each student individually does a community service project, as well as a class service project. The school has hosted a town hall meeting where our students were able to address some of their concerns about their neighborhoods. They were able to be heard and acknowledged, and you can only imagine how empowering that is to know that your voice matters. SOAR partners with Loma Linda University, who not only work with our students, but offer workshops to the parents, providing supports and skills in handling the challenges of parenting. We've had workshops on internet safety, mental health awareness, peacemaking in the home, and strategies to avoid conflict. When students are struggling, they're not just disciplined, but they have staff who try to get to the root of issues and give the students important life skills in managing their behavior and building confidence. SOAR is not only investing in the students, but their families. They've created a community where we come together for family fun nights, family math nights, where our students get to take pride in their school and share it with us. They have started pride houses, and now our kids have a support system that goes beyond their class. Teachers, staff, and students from different grades who would otherwise not have a reason to interact with my child are now part of this team. This house that encourages each other and holds each other accountable. They make it a point to know every child by name. At SOAR, no child is invisible and no child is left behind. I am so proud of all the amazing things our school is doing. I'm proud of their directors, their teachers, their staff, the families, and most important of all, our students. SOAR Charter Academy is truly a beacon of light and hope. I hope you will renew their charter and allow them to continue to do their work and shine. I know that these students will grow into incredible leaders and make San Bernardino proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, hi, my name is Christopher Williams, and I work with Charter Impact, which is the business management firm that works alongside of SOAR Charter School. I've actually changed what I wanted to say a few times since I've been here and on the drive here, the 2-hour drive here, I might add. And I've changed it actually a couple of times since I've heard the speakers before me. I myself had a pretty rough childhood growing up, but I knew that even though my friends went off and they would sell drugs and they would do things to make money, I wanted to go to college. And so I went to college, put myself through college, through grants and loans, and ended up getting my bachelor's in accounting, my master's in business administration, moved to California, passed the certified public accountant's exam. And I've always taught my kids that through hard work, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to put your effort into it and stop making excuses. And as I listened to the speakers before me, it sort of reminded me of that. And you know, as we've been working with SOAR Charter through the years, it also reminded me of why I took this position that I took. I've worked over 20 years in for-profit companies. And when I took this position, it was my way of sort of giving back. It was taking the skill that I've learned over the years to sort of help other schools, you know, with nonprofits and particularly with schools. And what I've learned was that things weren't always what I thought they were. A number of schools, probably a big majority of the schools that I work with, have financial trouble through financial mismanagement because they just don't understand financial matters. And SOAR, for me and my staff, has been really a shining beacon, to be honest with you, because while I work with these other schools, of which a few have closed, others are on the brink of closing, and others are still struggling, SOAR has always been a very consistent school for us to work with. And mainly that's been because you have a school that has the administration that supports and respects what we do financially. True that the main mission of any school is the academic side. You want to be able to, of course, teach your children, right? That's your core market. But you can't do that when your focus is diverted into other areas, namely your finances. You can't do that. You can't give 100% of your time or a majority of your time to the most important, your important mission. And that's what I found out, again, with a number of schools. But the school has been consistently respectful of the advice that we've given. And as we know, advice is only as good as your ability to use it. The school has been really consistent with respecting what we do, listening to our advice, taking the majority of that advice, and doing some really good things for this school. I mean, I've pushed this school to really expand upon what they do, but they've shut me down and say, we want to focus on what we do here at this school. And I respect that. And so I believe strongly that there should be more models like this. This was the reason why there were charter schools, or they decided to do charter schools. This is exactly the reason why, is to push other schools to be better. But what I've often found is that you really have the opposite effect. And so while I'm a proponent of SOAR and a proponent of charter schools to some degree, not as much as I used to be because of some of the lack of financial respect that some of the schools don't have, I do appreciate and respect this school immensely. And as a matter of fact, I put together a proposal for the California Charter Schools Conference, which was titled Overseeing Finances, a Crucial Guide for Board Members, and it was accepted. They don't accept it. They get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of proposals for public speaking as part of their conferences, and this was one of the few that was accepted. And so I'll be giving that with Kristen. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much for your time, Board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I can't believe it's been 10 full years since the first time I stood before this board asking for approval for SOAR Charter Academy. During these past 10 years, SOAR has worked really hard to meet our goals to provide a dynamic, well-rounded education to the students we serve. We went from serving 130 students our first year to 465 students this year. We have grown from 7 staff members to 56 dedicated staff members. We lived our first 4 years on a private church campus, and then the district's Prop 39 approval, we moved to what is known as the Burbank Elementary School site in 2012. This was one of the best things that could have ever happened for SOAR and our students. This not only created a wonderful campus for our students to take ownership of, but gave us a place to dream bigger than we had ever thought we could dream. We were very thankful for the district and board's approval of our Prop 39 request 6 years ago. During these 10 years, we have also impacted our community by having over 3,700 community service projects done by our students in our grade levels. I wonder if you or someone you know has been touched by one of our students giving back. Becoming a Leader in Me school last year to support our focus on character education has made an impact on our culture and leadership at SOAR to the point that we rewrote our mission and vision to include a focus on student leaders today, world leaders tomorrow. With a school-wide focus on 3 major goals in culture, leadership, and academics, our school is ready to really start moving. We take pride in our technology program and what we offer our students and teachers, with a 1-to-1 iPad program in K-6, 4 iPad carts for middle school, digital cameras, video equipment, a 26 computer media lab, and teaching stations in every classroom with projectors, cameras, Apple TV, and laptops. Our students and teachers are exposed to the use of technology on a daily basis. We also take pride in our special ed program under the guidance of San Bernardino SELPA. By hiring our own staff last year, our students are benefiting from full-time staff members that uphold SOAR's expectations as well as meeting students' individual needs. We appreciate the support the district's special ed department has given us during our transition in running our own program. We continue to provide our students with as many rich experiences as we can. These include field trips in every grade level, with upper grades taking overnight trips, a growing sports program that includes cross-country, football, basketball, soccer, and softball, a competitive cheer program that is award-winning, major performances, an art show, clubs, an after-school program, and a full-time counseling program for the students that need it. We recognize our test scores are not where we want them to be and have implemented some new things this year that hopefully will impact our students' performance over the next couple of years. We've had 4 promoting classes of 8th graders who have gone on to high school. Alumni have returned to touch base, and most have transitioned to high school successfully, and our first promoting class actually graduates from high school this year. Many of these students are graduating from district high schools. We will begin tracking our alumni to see what their futures bring. We will continue to be a successful charter school that San Bernardino can proudly call its own. We are all in this for the same reason, our kids. We ask that you vote in approval of SOAR's next 5 years. Thank you for allowing us to do what we do for our students, their families, and our community. Thank you for your time and support.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for what you do. Board, we do have, if you don't have any discussion, we do have a public comment on this topic from Fatima Adame. If we want to invite her now, or did you have any questions or comments?
we do not vote tonight, but if you have a discussion now,
Yeah,
okay.
great. So we'll invite Ms. Fatima Cristerna Adam. Fatima. There we go.
Good evening,
Welcome. Good
Superintendent,
evening.
Dr.
Welcome.
Hill, Board.
Good evening, Madam.
Yes, hopefully this is a good time for me to speak before you make a decision. And like the speaker before me, I have a lovely letter that is standard that we sent to all of you in support from the California Charter Schools Association that was emailed to all of you. But that wouldn't be me if I didn't speak from my heart on behalf of SOAR Charter School. So I'm going to scrap the canned letter that you all got in your email and just tell you how much I love and appreciate this school and the fact that you let them exist. Because this community wants them. And it's evident by their over 465 students, over 200 student wait list, which is really important to me because part of the reason why I did this is my own niece. When she was ready to go to school, my sister, like I get a lot of calls like this, she said, well, you work for charter schools, can't you get me into one? It doesn't work like that. They are public schools of choice, and you have to go to the school and see if there's room for enrollment. If there is, then they're going to accept you. If not, you're going to have to go on a wait list. And sure enough, that's what happened to my niece. There were not enough spaces at SOAR, and so she had to go on the wait list. So I was really interested in going to the lottery night, where I saw lots of parents there with their children, having to literally draw names out to see who got 30 spots on their list. And my niece was number, I think, 97 and 99. And so she did not get in. And at the moment, we didn't really, I didn't think about what my reaction would be, and neither did my sister. And so my sister's reaction was to cry, because she had looked at all the schools of her choice, and this is what she had chosen for her daughter. And I didn't know what to do with my sister crying, so of course I said, stop it, what about backup B and C? And she says, I don't have a backup plan. This was my backup plan. And she had taken my niece on a tour of the school, and my niece fell in love with it. And so her little head reaches up and looks at me, and she says, Poppy, why don't they want me? Don't they know I'm a good girl? I just want to go to school. And it made her feel like she wasn't wanted, when in reality, it was the complete opposite. And it was at that moment that I knew that I made it my mission to work harder for students who want to make these choices, and for schools like SOAR who want to exist and give students just something different. That's it. We all exist. I'm a product of our traditional school, and I'm a perfectly, on most days, fine human being. So there is room enough for all of us, and I can't tell you how grateful I am that you allow charter schools like SOAR to exist for people like my niece. My other two nieces go to traditional school, and again, they're just fine. But for my little one, she needed something different. And the gardens at SOAR, the families, watching them all pick their families and have it things be called like pride, orgullo. All their families are the same word in different languages. It's beautiful. So thank you again. And on behalf of California Charter Schools Association, we ask you to renew them for 5 more years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you, and so much, all of you, for coming tonight. Your support's appreciated. Board welcomes Daryl Peden on the topic of the importance of the California Earned Income Tax Credit and outreach. Welcome, Mr. Peden.
Board members, superintendent and staff member, family and friends. Again, my name is Daryl Peden. I represent Cali ITC for Me, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping working families. Our focus is ensuring that working families are aware of the California Earned Income Tax Credit. Working families that meet the income threshold of $22,300 or less may qualify for up to $6,000 in tax refunds when claiming the California Earned Income Tax Credit or the Federal Earned Income Tax Credit. But here's the problem. You have to know about the credit in order to get the credit. If you file your taxes and you don't claim it, you don't get it. $2 billion are currently unclaimed. This is money that should be going back to our community. This is money that should be going in the pockets of our working families. However, working families do not know about the credit, and that is why we are here today, and that is why we are so serious about outreach. So here's what we know. In 2015, 90% of the students in this school district qualified for free or reduced lunch. We also know, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that 29% of the population here in this city, in San Bernardino, city of San Bernardino, live below the poverty line. In addition, when we're talking about working poverty, 7.5% of those working full-time live below the poverty line, and 46% of those that work part-time live below the poverty line. 1 out of 4 households live below the poverty line. Working families in San Bernardino should not be struggling to make ends meet. There is no question that poverty is correlated with educational outcomes. In addition, the Public Policy Institute of California just recently put together a report that showed that the most effective way to decrease poverty here in California was the Earned Income Tax Credit matched with the CalFresh program. Decreased poverty by 2% here in California last year. That's a big deal. Our nonprofit is dedicated to ensuring that working families are aware, and our nonprofit is dedicated to ensure that working families know about the Earned Income Tax Credit. So we're the outreach arm. Last year, here in the Inland Empire alone, we helped do outreach that brought in $27 million back here to the Inland Empire, back to working families. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help. San Bernardino School District is vital in outreach because of your relationship with parents. We hope you will see the importance of helping working families and the impacts that we'll have on our students. And I look forward to discussing with you further how we can work together to get information about the Cal EITC and free tax preparation for those families that are at $54,000 or less can get free tax preparation through VITA programs. We want to make sure that we do get this outreach out to all the working families that have students here in this school district, because it matters. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you when I have the chance.
Mr. Peden, thank you, and we have your number, and you can count on us reaching out to you to understand more fully what it is that your nonprofit does and how it may or may involve with the work that we're doing in the city. So
That's
thank
great, and I have some paperwork if I can. I don't know if there's anybody.
Oh, certainly. You can add it to my assistant over here on your right. She'll wave to you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Madam Secretary.
Yeah, Dr. Flores.
Mr. Petey, can you clarify, you said that there were $2 billion left on the table. What's the potential of our city in terms of reclaiming the 6,000 that was left on the table by low-income families?
So I don't know the exact potential for the city of San Bernardino per se, but we know that the Inland Empire is a targeted area to make sure that we increase the amount of money that's claimed for the Earned Income Tax Credit. Last year alone, there was hardly any uptick in terms of those more people claiming the credit through statewide. But in the Inland Empire, we saw an uptick because of the efforts that we did. There are huge potentials here because of the issues with our economy here and working families that are not in, or that are actually in that income threshold.
Are there other school districts that are participating with their families and their parent in terms of reclaiming or getting the money?
Absolutely. In the last few years, the California Earned Income Tax Credit has been around for 3 years. We have done, last year, we did some work with several different school districts where we reached out to parents through Peach Jar and robocalls and things like that to let them know about our VITA programs, and also that the Earned Income Tax Credit exists. More specifically, we just put together a partnership with Compton Unified School District, where we did a huge press conference and kind of presented to the world our partnership with the Compton Unified School District to do outreach to make sure all working families in Compton are aware of the Earned Income Tax Credit. And we also are doing a lot of work with Riverside Unified School District as well. This last Saturday, we just participated in their Parent Summit, where we did workshops as well as participate in a resource fair as well.
So do you know the potential? I didn't quite hear what you said, the potential families that we have in our, I didn't catch all the number.
So I don't know the exact potential in terms of those that are, if we look what I've talked about earlier, with, when we talk about households in general, 1 out of 4 households in the city of San Bernardino live below the poverty line.
So they would qualify for the earned income
Yeah,
tax?
when we did those numbers, we looked at the census and we looked at families that are making $19,999 and less, and you're looking at 26% of the households in San Bernardino fall within that line.
Wow, okay. So Dr. Marsden, how would we go forward in terms of providing access to our families?
Yeah, so what I've asked Mr. P to do is, we have his phone number, so our team will reach out to understand more fully and be able to begin the dialogue there.
Okay. all
I
right.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Mr.
your
Do we
time.
have a timeline for this, by chance? Do you-
Well, yeah, tax season starts in January, and those families that are
Okay,
in need are those that are going to file their taxes
okay,
right away, right when they get their W-2s or
Okay.
their stuff back from their employer.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what we will do now, we'll back up to 4.0. Our student board members' comments. We know they probably have a lot of homework and want to get home to get it done. So we'll start with you, Ms. Chobe.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to start with an apology for not being here for about a month. I was filling out college applications, and I still am, so we'll see how that goes. What else do I have to report? I was at the most recent school start times work group meeting, and that went well. I was not at the most recent Student Advisory Council meeting, but I heard that went well. You should ask Danielle about that, not me. I will be speaking at the Gathering for Excellence on Thursday, so I have good hopes for that. And I'll be going to the, forgive me, I forget the name of the organization, but the conference in San Diego at the end of the month. And the main issue that I wanted to highlight in these comments was about the importance of counseling for college, but also just counseling in general, because I often feel like there's a lot of kinds of support that students need for that process that they can't always get from their friends or their teachers. And when they're given that support, there's like a ripple effect where then now everybody can start helping each other. And I say this mostly because I'm heavily in debt to my own counselor for getting me through the college application process, and I just would hope that that would still be available for other students besides myself. That's all I have for comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I think you were making reference to the California School Board Association. Okay, we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Ms. Quezada?
Oh, hi. Okay, there we go. Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to do a quick recap on the Student Advisory Council meeting that we had on Friday. The main focus was talking about safety in communities, schools, and classrooms. So all the students that were there devised themselves into the tables that they wanted to talk about. And I was in classroom, which we ended up talking mainly about different approaches to suspension. And that's when the idea of youth court came up a lot. And I really liked the idea of youth court because I didn't know much about it. I remember having students come to the meeting and talk about it, but I've never heard of it at my school. But I think it's a really, for those of you that don't know that what youth court is, it's an alternative to suspension where they take it to a court, but with like volunteers, I believe, and then they give them like a community service option and then some classes, and then they get to have it off the record. So after we talked about safety in community, school, and classroom, we devised different committees, and those are the committees in which we will pursue further work to try to advance some issues and try to take action. So one committee came up with trying to develop mentorship more within the district. That would mean sort of a link crew approach, which is a upperclassmen helping underclassmen, but it wouldn't be exclusive to freshmen in this case. And another group wanted to have more community connections. By that, I mean they would organize community events for all schools to feel united rather than segregated. So they would have like a San Bernardino City walk or something. And again, youth court committee, which they want to pursue having like liaisons or people that will administer youth court in each school rather than just, I think San Bernardino has it really developed right now, but that way that could be provided for the rest of the schools. And the final one was a group trying to connect schools to community resources, such as connecting students to go help at the YMCA because they feel like we're too detached right now. And that was kind of the main focus of the advisory council this Friday. And I also like to say that I went to the San Bernardino Valley College Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and that was really nice. The guy that coached Misty May and Carrie Walsh was doing volleyball at San Bernardino Valley College, and that's like a big deal. So that's basically what I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bacaro?
Hello. I apologize. I wasn't at the last student advisory panel, so I don't have any updated information to talk about. I was in San Diego processing into military, so that's why I was absent.
Good. Thanks for sharing that.
Which branch are you considering?
Initially, it was the Air Force, but they're really bad with communication, so I sort of steered into the Navy.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Dale, are we going to let them get away with that, being two Air Force?
They were brothers. We can help. We help.
Thank you. And feel free to leave at any time. So thank you for being here tonight. Session 5, public comment. And this is the time during the agenda when the Board of Education is prepared to receive your comments. So if you could, make sure you watch the clock. You have 5 minutes, and we hope you be respectful of the time.
Thank you, Dr. Hill, and the board welcomes Ms. Eva Helt, topic of Talion Academy. Good evening and welcome.
Hi, I'm Eva Helt. I'm the principal at Talion Academy here in San Bernardino. We're located on West 2nd Street. Really, the purpose of tonight is just to introduce ourselves, to get to know us, as well as get to know you. We've had the pleasure of meeting and talking with Dr. Hill, who came to our open house last month, but we also wanted to introduce ourselves to the rest of the board. Give you an idea of who we are in the community. We are a K-12 independent study schools, and basically, our focus is serving the needs of those students who traditionally have not done well in a traditional classroom setting for one reason or another. Many of our students are either on the verge of dropping out or have dropped out of school. Most have credit and skills deficiencies, and many of our students need a non-traditional setting because their parents themselves or they're working to support the family where they are living. Our goal is really to partner with San Bernardino schools and, in a sense, to help students recover their credits so they could make their way back to their local schools if that's their desire, and in some cases graduate with us if the non-traditional setting is what they need. We are very excited about the things that are happening at Talion. Last year we had 56 seniors enrolled, and 42 of those seniors earned their diplomas and participated in the graduation ceremony. So we are looking to have the community learn who we are so that we can find out how we can partner with our community, how we can partner with our local schools to make a difference in San Bernardino. And I've also brought with me Mr. Chris Ortiz. He is our outreach coordinator. He's going to give you just a minute or two of a little bit more information of what we're doing beyond academics at Talion.
Hello, good evening. My name is Christopher Ortiz. I am the outreach coordinator at Talion Academy. Things that we at Talion Academy, we're always looking to work with the community. We most recently just wrapped up our partnership with My Awesome Empire that is actually broadcasted at California State University, San Bernardino. It included broadcasting techniques, and it also included multimedia strategies that our students were able to learn with. We are also in the process of working with the San Bernardino Community College District to bring the workforce readiness program to our campus to better serve our students. And if we have not had the opportunity to work with any other organization here in San Bernardino, that is something that we're always looking forward to, and pleasure to meet you guys as well.
Thank you.
So thank you for this opportunity to introduce ourselves, and we would love to have any of you at any time come out and see our school, find out a little bit more about what we're doing, make suggestions, and help us to make connections within the communities, not just for ourselves, but also for our students, as we're trying to teach them to be good citizens of their community that they live in. So in any way that we can partner with you, we would just love that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you so
Sultan.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This time, the board welcomes Matrell Lewis, sharing the new Lion Warrior Gold Rangers. All right. Good evening. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Great.
My name is Martrell. I'm the coach of cross country and track and field at the Shannon Gordon High School. And this picture I'm going to share. In first thing, I graduated about 1996, the Head Start to the tour. The next thing, and I graduated as 2003, the Dr. American King Middle School. And I graduated at Shannon Gordon High School in 2007. I returned to back to San D. I've been a volunteer over 10 years to help me out in the office. And I was a volunteer cross country and track and field over 3 years.
Wow, great.
And I changed up to have a new Grade Ranger. I met you 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
3K.
That's right.
Right now, I had a new Gold Ranger. I'm going to have to share this picture.
All right. Fantastic. Look at that.
Good
Wow.
job.
Very good.
This is for Jockey Hill, for you.
All right. That's
Thank you so
fantastic,
much.
Martrell. Thank you
Yeah.
very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah. And another thing, I had a smaller, I didn't order it yet, so I ordered more next meeting. So this is for you.
Oh, look at that.
Good
Great.
job.
Hey, it's awesome. Look at this guy. Wonderful.
Good job.
Such an encourager you are in this community. We're so proud of you. Thank you for coming out to our runs once in a while and the work you do at the school, your volunteering and your help with our kids. You got
Yeah.
a big heart of gold.
Yeah. All right, you take care.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank-
presenting tonight. And give me
Thank you so
Ms.
much.
Cross, thank you so much, Martrell. Wow, wonderful to have such great leaders in our community. Board welcomes Ms. Nancy Sanchez Spears, trimester 1 academic year 2017-18. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Hill, President,
Good evening.
Dr. Marsden, Superintendent,
Good
Board
evening.
members, Cabinet. My name is Nancy Sanchez Spears, and I am an employee with the San Bernardino City Unified School District, longer than most of you have been, with the exception of one who's close to me in numbers. And this last trimester was a very, very trying time for teachers in the elementary schools. And I think the board members deserve to hear this. The requirements of the DRAs for grades K through 3 created great numbers of minutes to give. The test is given one-on-one. Minimally, it's 30 minutes per child. When you have a class of 24, you can do the math and see how much instructional time was lost. We do have fine guest teachers, but it's still not the same instruction that is given by the regular classroom teacher. The data protocol that was required of administrators and teachers also created a lot of time and stress for the faculty and administration at the elementary schools. I represent 11 schools and 2 programs as a board member for SBTA. I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of comments and a lot of concerns about the amount of instructional time that teachers lost during this time. I know that SBTA is working with administration at the district level to remedy and find resolution to this. But I feel that it's very important that the board members are aware that this kind of work, although you want the data, is very, very stressful for our staffs, and it's time-consuming. We need to find a better way to make this work. You need the data, we need to teach, and we need to find a way to get both things happening. So I just felt that it was important for you to have this information. I know we're working on a resolution, and I'm sure it will occur before the end of the year, but we lost a trimester. Thank you.
Just before you
Thank
leave.
you. Mr. Tillman and then Dr. Flores.
So what is the DRA? What does it stand for?
It's a reading readiness test, I believe. I can't think of.
Directed reading.
What was it, Harold? It's developmental reading assessment.
Developmental reading assessment.
And what's it used for? Maybe Dr. Mitchell can tell it what it's used for?
The DRA is a early literacy assessment for K through 2, and we've also administered it in K through 3. It is a diagnostic. It is standard in K through 2 classrooms to give a reading assessment. As you know, any reading assessment is going to take time because you have to do it individually for each student. It is our only data to get a diagnostic of how kids are coming into the classroom. We use it to set instructional goals for kids. And so even when I was a first grade teacher, we had running records. And so it's just part and parcel with the K through 3 teaching. We understand that it does take time, but there's a number of similar assessments, but they all take similar time because you have to give those assessments one person at a time. And so, as Ms. Spears suggested, SBTA is working closely with us. First of all, in the selection of the DRA, we made that in concurrence with SBTA, but we also are looking at other assessments next year. But any assessment that we go with, quite frankly, will take individual time. So we provided substitutes, and I think as teachers get used to this assessment, they'll get a little bit more efficient with it.
So it's a new, you say you did it when you were a first grade teacher. I'm assuming that was a long time ago.
Yes.
But this is new?
Well, no, the DRA is just one of many assessments for early literacy to diagnose kindergartners, first grade, second grade students.
So how long have we been doing the one that Miss?
It's our second year.
Second year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And before that, what did we use?
That's the point. We didn't.
But some schools chose to use the iReady program, which can do the same thing and is not as time-consuming and they can still work with students individually. The issue for me is when students are not having that teacher contact time, I see it.
Right.
Because I see all of the students
So
and
you're
I
thinking maybe
see.
somebody else should do the test, but I don't want to, I know it's not agendized, so I won't.
I
go
don't
any
know
further.
that that's the answer. I just know that we're working to find a better
So
solution.
maybe we can have it agendized and talk about it at some
Right.
point. Thank you very much.
Look at Dr. Flores.
We actually are talking about.
Yeah, wait, Nancy. As a university professor, I taught teachers to administer the DRA and the EDL. It is a very important assessment because by the end of first grade, kids should be at level 16. Teachers can't determine where the kids are in terms of their development. At the end of second grade, they should be at level 28. And at the end of third grade, well, by the time they're 28, they're at third grade reading level. And that's our goal. And I understand that it's time consuming, so we have to figure out how, we can support teachers when we're, administering the one-to-one assessment. But it's very helpful for the teacher to know if the child is at level 5, right, then they should be teaching the kid at level 7, in small groups. It's to document where the kids are developmentally. I beg to differ. The test that you stated is not equivalent to the DRA in terms of
No, it's not a
research.
test, but
Yeah.
it is an instructional
Right,
system
right.
that works
right.
toward that.
And so, we have to figure out ways to support teachers so that they're not losing that much instructional.
Right.
But you should understand that it's a very good assessment. It's an assessment that actually
I'm not complaining about the
shows,
assessment. I'm
yeah,
concerned about
right.
the time.
It shows where the kids are developmentally.
Right.
And if we want our kids to read by third grade, we need to have something in place that does track them and also supports the teachers in terms of what they need
No,
to do.
I understand
Right,
that. I'm
right.
not against assessments. I'm just concerned about the lack of instructional time. It affects the students when they're not being
So we have to
taught by their
figure out a
teachers.
way to support the teachers.
And we are working on that.
And so forth, in terms of solutions.
So again.
But it's a very good assessment.
Perhaps we should agendize this,
Right.
so that we're getting into.
It's on the agenda tonight, Madam President.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you so much. Mr. Tillman, you had another question? No. Okay, thank you.
The board welcomes Sandra Espadas, and Maria Razzo. Update on the redevelopment of Waterman Gardens. Welcome, ladies. Good evening.
Good evening, board members. My name is Maria Razzo. I'm the Executive Director of the Housing Authority of the County of San Bernardino, and I'm joined here by Sandra Espadas, Director of Community Development with National Corps. So we're here tonight to provide you with a very brief update on the redevelopment of Waterman Gardens, which has been rebranded as Arrowhead Grove. Arrowhead Grove is located right next door to E. Neil Roberts Elementary School and also Sierra High School. And the first off-site phase, as you know, Valencia Vista, was completed in October of 2016 and consisted of 76 units. Most recently, the first on-site phase, Olive Meadow, was completed just 2 months ago in September of 2017 and consisted of 62 new affordable housing units. So our agency, along with National Corps, the City of San Bernardino, and the County of San Bernardino together are now working towards the redevelopment of phases 2 and 3, which will include 176 residential mixed income units, both affordable and market rate units. That will also include recreational amenities, including play areas, a community center, swimming pool, and outdoor educational nodes. We're also exploring the reuse of the retired maintenance warehouse that's located on site for career development services.
So to fund this next phase, National Community Renaissance is submitting an application to the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Program, also known as ASEC. So as part of the ASEC application, we're going to be requesting $20 million in funding. And this funding comes from the state of California for projects that link housing and transportation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So as part of this proposal, we were actually able to partner with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority and include E. Neil Roberts as part of the Safe Routes to School. This morning, we actually completed a walking assessment with participation from the principals, some teachers, counselors, and parents. Some of the pedestrian safety improvements that were identified this morning are going to be included as part of the application, along with the creation of new bike lanes and incorporation of urban greening projects. This project is consistent with a specific plan that was adopted by the city in December of 2016 that seeks to not only focus on the site, but really transform the neighborhood as a whole and incentivize development in the commercial corridor. We will be going before the Planning Commission on November 14th for approval of the next phase, and the ASIC application is due January 16th. In addition to all of this effort, we are also partnering up with E. Neil Roberts Elementary School to host a holiday health and resource fair. That's actually scheduled December 16th, and we would love to see you there as well. And it's going to be taking place from 8:30 to 12:30, and we're actually going to be providing over 1,100 families from Lincoln Hunt Elementary, Bingwan Elementary, Eniel Roberts, I think there's a couple of other elementary schools with a bag of groceries for families. We're securing the donations for that right now, and through Navidad en el Barrio, which is a nonprofit in LA. So thank you for your time, and as always, feel free to contact us with any additional questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, very much. Thank you for your work in the city. Those are all the public comments this evening, Board.
Thank you so much. Session 6, 6.0, Student Achievement. 6.1, Key Performance Indicator, Third Grade Reading Proficiency.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. And as you know, Board, we work to provide you a summary of your key performance indicators. And Board, just as a reminder for you, you have in front of you this little placard that lists the select key performance indicators that you particularly pay attention to. And so tonight, we're looking specifically at the key performance indicator around third grade reading and readiness. And so with that, Dr. Keenan Mitchell is prepared to present to you where we're at.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Tonight, Board, we will share an overview of the third grade reading performance in San Bernardino Center Unified. When we look at third grade reading as an early indicator, there are two data points that we consider. Number one, the summative data that we get from the California, or the CAS, the state test. And then number two, the formative data that we get from our early literacy assessment. As mentioned a few minutes ago, this data is being generated by the DRA, the Developmental Reading Assessment for English, and the EDL, which is the Spanish version. So I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Lorraine Perez, Director of Elementary Instruction, as well as Ashley Bettis-Alcala, San Bernardino Teachers Association President. So thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Marsden.
Good evening.
We're going to start with some background information for you on where we've been with early literacy and where we are now. As we transitioned into Common Core, many of our sites were doing early literacy assessments. They were ones that they had come to on their own agreement. We've had AIMS in the past. We've had many different iterations of an early literacy assessment. But in the spring of 2015, I believe it was this board that charged the district with going forth with a district-wide early literacy assessment for kindergarten through third grade. And I think that's also when the KPI for third grade reading was added. So we did bring together a committee in 2015, 2016 of teachers and district members to look at reading assessments. And they came to the agreement to adopt the Developmental Reading Assessment, or DRA, or the EDL for Spanish language learners. And that's the tool that we've used over the last 2 years. And it's been a little bit of a bumpy road, as you heard during public comment. It's a very intensive assessment. It's done one-on-one. And we've been administering it. Last year, we administered it twice during the year. This year, we just finished up with our first administration. So we've now administered it 3 times. We know that our third grade students will be participating in the state assessments, or CASP, and we want to make sure that across the district we are looking at and benchmarking what our third graders are doing as far as reading progress. And that data tells us what our students' ability is to comprehend and make meaning of what they read. So if they don't have those early literacy building blocks before they get to that test, then it's going to be more difficult for them as they continue.
Can I ask this?
Mr. Tillman?
Yeah. So just so I'm clear, you said that the DRA has been administered twice. Just so I have a feel for how long it takes. So if you have a class of 25 kids, because you said it's K through
It depends on the age of the student and how many sections they're going through.
But so say if you're going to do it for a class, does it take the teacher 2 days to do it or 2 weeks to do it?
It's an average of about 30 minutes per student. So if you multiply that by 24 students, that's the amount of time that it'll take to go through one administration of it.
And
It
does the
could take
teacher-
less depending on the ability of the student.
And just so I add the practical part of it, does the teacher try to do all of them in just consecutive days, or does she try to do just a certain piece in the morning, or how does it work?
So our administration window, actually based on conversations that we had with teachers and feedback, was about 36 days long. And so ideally then they could meet with one student per day. Even actually they had more days built in than their typical elementary class size or primary class size. And that was intentional because we heard the concerns loud and clear that they were feeling pressed for time. So we opened up that window to alleviate some of those stressors.
So they could do it by doing one student a day.
They could, and it does vary depending on the reading ability of the student. We actually have a teacher here today who will share a little bit about her experience with administering, and a former site administrator who will also share kind of the logistical background on how to make that work at your site.
So somebody said a half hour. I'm sure that's an average. So what's the shortest period of time it could take and the longest period of time it could take for one student?
I personally I've sat and watched teachers administer, and it could be as fast as 5 minutes. And I will give background to the fact that the time constraint came in because we hadn't been administering an assessment like this for a while. And we now have a baseline data where if I'm a second grade teacher, my students coming into me should have first grade data, which gives me a starting point. I don't have to start from the very beginning.
So you mentioned the 5 minutes. What's the longest time?
Would be somewhere upwards of about 30 minutes.
It could take longer than 30 minutes, just depending on the student and what their capability is.
Thank you.
So, and I also want to mention that early literacy is something that's near and dear to me. The last 6 years, I taught first grade, and so I understand the importance of early literacy with our youngsters. And we want to make sure that whatever assessment we're using, that teachers can access it so that they can really impact their students, so that we know that they're getting to reading levels they need to be by third grade.
Next slide, please. So we're going to get into the actual data of around our third grade, which is the KPI. So the slide that you see before you and the next couple of slides specifically are going to be related to third grade reading data. So the one that you have here, the English Language Arts Literacy Comparison Chart, provides data for San Bernardino City Unified School District's third grade performance on CASP. There's performance information for 2016 and 17, along with growth information between those years. This particular graphic allows for an overall picture of San Bernardino City Unified School District's performance in comparison to San Bernardino County and the state of California. We are also able to take a look at San Bernardino City Unified School District's performance as it compares to local districts, which reflects that our performance in 2017, 30%, was slightly above Moreno Valley's 28%, and in the same range with Fontana at 31% and Rialto at 34%. When we look at comparable districts, we find that we are on pace with Sacramento at 32% and above Stockton's 21%. When looking at our aspiring districts, there is a noticeable difference in performance between our growth, but our growth indicator of 3% provides promise that we are moving in the right direction. Next slide, please. Now taking a look at performance data for the past 3 years, specifically for third grade English Language Arts achievement data, a little more intensely serves to support promise for our future growth. We see consistent growth of 3% district-wide, as well as amongst African American, Hispanic, and white student groups. Our English learners and socioeconomically disadvantaged student groups had a gain of 1%, with foster youth remaining unchanged at 26%. The data for homeless reflects a 13% decrease, while special education and reclassified student groups both experience a 2% decrease. The performance of our reclassified students remains above both the county and state percentages. So looking at that, we had 65%, 72%, and 70%, which you see is well above our state and county averages or percentages.
Mr. Tillman, you have a question?
No question? Okay.
No, he's, Ms. Rogers. Wait to the end.
Okay. Okay, so the next slide. The following data there identifies the percentages of third grade students that scored at or above grade level on the specified test. And the specified tests here are related specifically to DRA and EDL. The DRA, as you've learned, is the English assessment, and the EDL is the Spanish version of that assessment. The data has been provided by student group on this particular slide. And you can see district-wide EDL, we're hovering around 48%, and our district-wide DRA, which is the English assessment, we are at 40%. And then all of the other student groups are broken down there for your perusal.
Third grade?
It is. This specific.
This is at the beginning of third grade? Yeah, fall.
This administration just occurred and is reflective of where our third grade students are at currently for their being on track for third grade reading.
Right, that's pretty good. The increase is phenomenal. Yeah.
So the following slide outlines our next steps, and Ashley will walk us through those specifically.
So SBTA has been working with Ed Services under elementary instruction in the beginning stages of developing an SBCUSD TK through 12 literacy action plan. And through this action plan, we're going to be creating a leadership team, which will have a representative from each elementary school site that will serve on the committee, and the committee work will inform our district-wide reading instruction and assessment. We're going to continue to look at the data protocol that's been an instrument that has been implemented this fall around the reading assessment, as well as we currently have some professional development that's been voluntary for an early literacy certificate for our unit members to achieve. And also our early literacy committee, which is a subcommittee of our SBCUSD assessment committee, will reconvene to explore the effectiveness of the integration of the DRA and the EDL and our reading instruction progress monitoring tools. And we will just continue to get feedback from our teachers about the implementation of this assessment, and also our continuous progress monitoring tools that we're using across the district to continue to monitor our students' literacy progress.
And so we have a couple of folks who we wanted to allow to share some perspective with you, one being Tasha Dwyzon, who is newly our assistant director of elementary instruction, but formerly our principal at Emerton. So she'll share with us from the principal perspective how to navigate and kind of create those logistical ways to allow this to be successful on your campus, monitoring your third grade reading. And then we have an amazing teacher from North Park, Carrie Dawson, who is sitting back here, second grade teacher. So she'll share some perspective about what she's experienced with the administration. So we'll turn it over to Ms. Dwyzon.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Hill, members of the board, Dr. Marsden, and Cabinet.
Good evening.
I am Tasha Dwyzon, recently former principal at Emerton Elementary School, and I'd like to share my experiences from a site leader's perspective. Our experiences with the DRA actually began probably a few years ago. Emerton is a pre-K through third grade only site. So those building blocks and building those foundations for early literacy is something that we had to focus on from the beginning so that we could make sure our students were leaving third grade ready and prepared for the next steps. We used a DRA-like system beginning about 2 years ago and utilized resident substitutes so that their interruption in instruction was very minimal. To understand the importance and to understand how the DRA could be used to support students regardless of their current levels. We not only talked about the systems and the structures of the assessment, but we also calibrated. We used videos with actual testing. I also engaged in the testing as well to understand what the teachers needed to do. to make sure that we as a staff were aligned. We used that year to help understand the importance of the reading assessment and the value of hearing their own students, for the teachers to hear their own students read and understand what types of strengths and errors that they were making to grow. It's important to note that there are strengths that come from this assessment as well. Teachers use the information to group their students for interventions, whether it be extra support or challenge, and also use their analysis to address the group needs as a whole. This data is also expected at our RTI meetings and was taken into account as we work to identify with students and also with parents. Parents, we shared this information with them as well. When the district moved toward the DRA system, our teachers were excited that because we would have common assessments from across the district, so that if students moved, we had that incoming data from other schools as well. It was a smooth transition, and district personnel was there to support with the trainings, questions, and they supported with materials. I do believe that the systems we worked to put in place helped to build stronger readers, one grade level at a time, knowing that it starts as early as our preschool, our TK, and keep building from there. At Emerton, we were able to see that work transcend into our CAS scores. The first year we were calibrating, we had about a 2% gain, but last year we had I'd say pretty good 14% growth in our reading, just in that bit of time that we were able to build systems and use that DRA information and assessment. We collectively worked together to help build our students reach milestones for each grade level to help them be more prepared going into the next grade. DRA allowed our teachers the time to individually hear the students read and diagnose the errors that they may be making in an effort to accelerate growth that was individualized to every single student. It takes time, but as the administrator, I supported my staff with what they needed and held individual conferences. I asked them what they needed. I supported and I listened to my staff. And we also created differentiated professional development opportunities around the feedback and analysis that they were getting. And I found these to be helpful and allowed our staff and myself to learn and grow, and we all grew together.
Thank you. And now I would like to invite Ms. Dawson, our second grade teacher from North Park, to share from the teacher perspective. And she's injured.
Okay, good evening. Well, they've talked about, the benefits in class, and it reminds me of running records. I've been here in this district a long time, and we were really excited to see that come back. We make a lot of anecdotal notes when I have the kids reading with me. And I was also sharing with Lorraine that it's been very helpful during parent-teacher conferences. I can sit there and even if they're reading at grade level, well, this is the area we're working on in comprehension. It's another piece. But also, even my kids on target right now, by the end of the year, you need to be here. I'm able to physically show the parents some books. Or if they're behind, look, this is where your child's reading right now. This is where they need to be at the end. And so I found that that's really, beneficial. And I mean, today I was doing a conference and it was kind of funny because one of the comments that I had on the side was, wow, that was sad when the kid was reading it, their comments to it. So I'm showing the parents different things, how they're reading with expression, and all of that. So it has been beneficial. I've been seeing the results. And as far as the time, it is time consuming. Our school has kind of broken it down. In our grade level, we'll each take maybe a couple hours or like a period before first recess on this day, and to try and break up the different times so that it's not, I'm not out a half day, I'm not out every morning at this time, so we try and mix it around a little bit, and that seems to help too. But this year was definitely better coming into the year because I had a starting point, so.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Dawson.
you.
Thank you.
So that does conclude our portion, and so time for questions.
We'll start with Ms. Rogers, Dr. Flores, and then Mr. Tillman.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I know several months back, I have been in conversation about this and kind of brought this to the district's attention prior to it. But what I'm hearing tonight is still part of the same concern that the strategy, it does work, but the implementation of it is all over the place. And I know that, I guess a while back, you guys had attempted to have committees and try to resolve it, but here we are again, not addressing that it's a bad thing to do. But what my concern was when you brought it to my attention was the fact that students in the classroom, you have the one person that's administering, and they're kind of on their own. And so I'm wondering in the coming together, and I know Ms. Dozan, you used several different methods that you mentioned, but how are we going to get that across the board so that even in the last presentation mentioned it's good, but you know, now they're trying to do things with other teachers to stay in the classroom and not maybe do it all day. And so that's the concerning part, because the way it was presented to me then and I'm hearing now is in some cases students are on automatic pilot because everyone's trying to get, you know, this assessment done, which is good, and we can extract some good information from it. But how it's being disseminated is just kind of all over the place. So that would be my concern, is as you guys are getting ready to have your meetings or your committees or wherever the next steps are, that's still the elephant in the room. What I'm hearing is a staffing. And you even, when I spoke with you all, you suggested having, and I think I mentioned this to you, Dr. Mitchell, if you recall, resource workers or, you know, other people that can come in and help when this is happening. Now, it's not a perfect world, I know that, but how are we going to do this that we don't have self, you know, pilot students, and then we have a person trying to get the assessments done, and there was some growth, and I think that's good, because that tells us that the assessment is good. But the elephant in the room is, how is it going to be administered, not how great it is. I think we all agree that it is great, but the administering of this tells me that other classrooms are not gonna have the same results depending on the person, how they're doing it. So those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Flores?
I heard the concerns, and they are important. And I'm just thinking, I'm a solution person, and I would advocate for, you know, our teachers to have a resource person in the room so that they could dedicate the time. But the kids that are, the other 23 kids are still on task and still working and so forth. Senator Ben Wesso is going to present a bill, reading by third grade. And in that bill, they're going to give extra money, Dr. Marsden, to districts that already have a formative assessment in place. And it's moving. Last year, it was sent back, and it's going to come forward again. And we would be, you know, primed to get extra money. I don't know what it would cost to have someone in the room with the teacher while they're giving the DRA or the EDL, so that the kids would, you know, be on task to do other work. But I think that is a possibility. The DRA at most takes over 30 minutes, perhaps, but you know, with kindergartners, it could be 5-10 minutes. It just depends and so forth. So, you know, I would think I would ask the teachers for possible solutions to what the, you know, how it would alleviate or help students. I would ask the teachers. That's what I would ask. And I mean, as a professor, we would deal with that. How do I manage my classes? How do I do that? Teachers usually put the kids in small groups, and different small groups did different work to follow up on things that they had done, while the teacher pulled 1 or 2 kids at a time during a specific time. So there's lots of different solutions. I see you nodding your head because you're probably the second grade teacher. That's probably what you do. But we would figure out ways so that we wouldn't lose the quality of our teaching as well, and so forth. But I would recommend that. I'm sure we can figure it out because it is a very important tool. It's really important to know where a child is developmentally so that it informs the teacher how to organize the instruction so our kids can move forward. It's really, really key. And you can see in your data for the fall. And I just wanted to comment, if you look at, the RFEP kids that took the kids that were Spanish-speaking that reclassified into English board, you should look at 76.7. They were way above their level, and that's significant in terms of that. In the Spanish, if you look at the Spanish, the kids are way above in their language at 48 district-wide compared to the English students. And if you look at our special needs kids, they're doing, they usually don't do well, but they're doing at least 21%, almost, 21%. You look at our SDS kids in Spanish, they're at 47.7 and at 39.9 respectively in English. And our homeless kids are also doing really, well comparatively. So I think we have to figure out, Ms. Rogers, how we can support our teachers so that they can, have the quality time to administer. And also, I'm assuming that, Dr. Perez, that you're also doing professional development in terms of supporting teachers and how they move our kids in terms of using leveled books and guided reading and so forth, correct?
Yes, and
Yeah,
that is
okay.
part of the training we plan to.
Right, and that they do have the materials in order to do that, because it's real important for them to have the materials, the books, so that they can monitor the different levels. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. This is really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Tillman?
So, I know there's teachers out there that have concerns only because I have a lot of respect for Ms. Spears, and I know that she has a good pulse on what people say informally. But, so what are the, and I didn't really hear, I mean, you guys have people present that says it's going great, but if you had to speak for the people who complain and don't like it, what are some of the ways that we can make changes to help them think this is, a better process? Some people think that you do it the whole semester, but when do you get the feedback in order to actually apply it to the student? And then if you have to do it again, then you're taking up even more time. And so when do you get to use it to benefit? And I guess, based on what Dr. Flores says, are you saying that the reason why we had the success that she's pointed out, is it because of this assessment, or is it in spite of it?
I think it's a reflection that our teachers are more cognizant and aware of where their students are, because this assessment puts you in a place to sit with that student and hear what their the acquisition of their reading skills really sounds like, and then you can better target your instruction to meet those gaps or needs that individual students may have.
And one of the things that I've noticed just in the feedback that I've gotten is sites that were already doing a robust progress monitoring, like Emerton, where Ms. Doizan was the principal at, they didn't have many problems with implementing this assessment because they already had systems in place to allow the teachers to effectively administer assessments like this.
Give me an example of that, because Ms. Rogers said that a teacher, what I gleaned from what she said, a teacher's with a student in the corner or someplace administering it, and the rest of the class is going crazy.
It depends. It could be that the teachers want to do the assessment themselves so that they can hear firsthand
Makes
how the
sense.
student is, where they are developmentally. So in some cases, last year, we know the reality was there wasn't as much support at sites, or principals didn't know who to reach out to get that support so that they could provide subs or other program specialists to come and support their site in
There you
order
go.
to have another adult in the room so that They may have done centers or other types of things with their students.
Right.
As a first grade teacher, I did that all the time when I was progress monitoring was, you have to have efficient systems in place for the rest of the class, but that takes time to build those
Right.
routines and get those in place so that you can do those assessments. But the sites that were already doing that had a system in place for it, we haven't heard a lot of comments from those sites. It's the ones that weren't doing a uniform program across all of their kinder through third grade classrooms for assessments that have struggled. And this year, we did try to work with Ed Services to get program specialists and sub-time available to support sites. And some of the sites took advantage of it, and there were probably some that still didn't. So, I mean, it's still a work in progress, and we're continuing to gather all of the feedback, negative, positive, and we want to include as many voices as we can moving forward with this early literacy committee so that we can ensure that our teachers have what they need so that our students are learning.
And, this is a priority of the board, so to me, it helps when you guys do these presentations. If you say, we think some schools they were able to do it because they had additional resources or it cost extra money, and here's what the cost would be. I mean, that's what I'd like to hear is, because you mentioned having additional people, whether it's program specialists or substitute teachers involved. There's a cost associated with that, but the board should be able to hear that if you're suggesting that some sites don't do it because they don't have resources or they choose not to do it. But Dr. Mitchell would have to be the one work after you guys had a meeting to come to us and say, here's the way you're going to do it, and then dictate it to the sites. This is the way, the best case scenario, and then if we need more funding, then suggest what that is. But in the end, it has to have fidelity, and we have to make progress in ensuring that we get the buy-in from a majority of the teachers in order to make it successful. Another piece is, and I'm glad it's on here because I was going to bring it up, it's on consent tonight. But you have one here for number 1, next steps. You have footsteps to brilliance. Now, last meeting we said we were going to do a pilot with footsteps to brilliance. And then we didn't, the next meeting it comes back and it's back on the agenda to pay for it again. Now, I don't know what meetings you guys had to get to that point, but you guys are definitely the group that are supposed to be using this. So, and I'll be frank with you, whenever people come to me with proposals, I always tell them, I'm not going to pay for a contract, and then when we actually look at who's using it, then I have 30 kids who used it, and so I paid $2 million, because the first thing I'm going to do is take $2 million and divide it by 30, so I spent that many, $50,000 per student. It doesn't make any sense. So I have to have the confidence if we're going to move forward later on with this Footsteps to Brilliant proposal, that you all are saying that somehow you have decided that we're going to use this, and once you make those payments, if someone goes back and looks at how many kids are actually accessing the system and using the system, that it's going to be proven to be worth the amount. And I'm saying this because in the end, that's going to benefit the entire district. We don't ever want to get in a predicament where we spend a lot of money on a system and then find out it didn't get used. Another way you could do it is do it based on pay for it as you go and pay for it when you know you're going to use it. But I'm bringing it up tonight because there's no way of getting around this. The only way it's going to work is if it becomes part of a process like this, and you guys are saying you're going to use it. But it comes back to the same thing. There has to be real, it has to be practical, and it has to be fidelity. You can't say that we're going to pay for this and we're going to use it. Because my question is, and this means a whole lot, how did it get in the presentation?
Because Mr. Tillman, I can answer that. Because we decided to bring it as a consent item, it does go with our early literacy program, so that would be a next step for us. But certainly, as it's a consent item, the board has the option to modify, accept, or reject.
So I'm looking for it. So you're saying that we're going to use it to the extent that when we, a year from now, when we say how many students accessed it, and whatever we're paying for, that it was worth it, and so it turned out to be $100 a kid or $200 a kid, something that makes sense. Is that what you guys are saying?
we're presenting it to the board for approval tonight, per the board's direction. The board, at the last board meeting, the board asked us to meet with our partners here, with our constituency groups, and come to consensus. So tonight, we're bringing it as a consent item, and certainly the board can have discussion about whether or not to approve that contract.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying in terms of what I need to hear in order to feel confident that we're going to go forward. But I will be honest, about 8:15 may not make a difference. I'll check the numbers. I'm not going to be here. You guys can do what you want. I won't bring it up at consent. I'll allow it to go. But we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hill. Let's see. It would seem to me that we need to get this assessment done quickly in the beginning of the year. I mean, I don't know about how long it takes, when it's done, in order to, as Ashley said, get to the intervention strategies so you can use your time to actually see growth in a student's performance as soon after the assessment has been done. I mean, if we wait until, the entire, first part of the school year, it seems like, and you're wasting your time. I mean, you have no intervention time, actually, to see them move forward. So I think we got to figure out how we can actually urgently conduct this and expeditiously conduct this assessment, and then begin the intervention strategies, which I assume that this assessment or whatever comes with those types of those interventions. We must know those. Do we have a district-wide intervention strategy based on certain characteristics of deficiencies that are identified through this assessment process? I'm imagining. And, quite frankly, I can't think of a better team to do it than, getting the teachers engaged and our district staff that provide some of these intervention-type services with our specialists to come up with the best practice. And you've articulated that there are some schools that are getting this right and are actually yielding tremendous results from this. How do we get a system in place, again, district-wide, to actually see this strategy implemented? Am I missing something here?
No, you're right on point, Mr. Gallo.
Okay. And the Footsteps to Brilliance thing, I was under the impression that last time we were getting the Footsteps to Brilliance intervention strategy for free through the county, and that the item to pay for was some data component.
So per the last board presentation, we gave you what items or components of the program came free, which is basically access from pre-K or 0 to 4, 0 to 5 kinder. Mm-hmm. And then the pay version gives us access to from 0 to 5 to grade 3, as well as the data that gets generated from kids using it. And so we were directed, staff was directed to convene with another meeting with Footsteps to Brilliance with our staff. We had Ashley there and other members of our staff to hear the presentation. And then after discussion, we decided to bring it to board for consent.
So I'm gonna ask a point blank question. Do you recommend it? And Ashley, are you recommending that we do this?
Prior to this, I've recommended that we wait. I've done it in a BC as well as in 2 board meetings. My recommendation was to wait. Right. The board consensus felt like it was important to explore. We've explored it and reconsidered. My caution was to roll it out piecemeal so that our teachers can get a good sense of the new ELA adoption. And so we still believe that, but I think working with Ashley, we'll come up with a rollout strategy that does not impact the teachers as much as the first year.
Ashley?
We're looking at a focus on the home component of Footsteps to Brilliance as a support to what's already going on in our classrooms.
Okay. I got to interpret your answer. I assume that the consent agenda item reflects what you just recommended.
I believe so, yes.
Does it, Dr. Mitchell?
What was the question again, Mr. Gallo?
Does it reflect, does the consent agenda item reflect what Ashley's emphasis was on the home component?
Yes, we
The other things
from
that
the onset of our interaction with Footsteps of Brilliance, we've recommended to the board that we take advantage of the free version and push the community version, home version. The board has continued to ask us to explore this program. We're following the board's direction and bringing it to the board for a final decision.
Okay, just because we asked you to explore it, what we were looking for is a recommendation. I mean, we don't want to force something down the district's throat, so to speak, that you're not advocating directly.
Our recommendation is for the board to approve it as per our consent item.
Got it. Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Flores? Oh, your light's off? Okay. If I can just make a couple of comments before you, Dr. Marsden. Thank you so much for your presentation. I just had a couple of questions. The window of time for the test, is it towards, I know it's towards the beginning of the school year, but is there an open window of time that this test must be done?
Yes, we do have a window. We try to allow for a couple of weeks for students to actually get settled in their classrooms prior to teachers having to administer this particular assessment. But the window is 36 school days in length right now based on the conversations we were having with our teachers and the need for additional time to administer. So there is a start, like an opening of the window and a closing of the window.
Okay. And my other suggestion, you know, all of you are the experts. I hope you can come to us with solutions of how can we de-stress our teachers, because I know you get in this profession for teaching, not for testing, and give us some solutions of what's best for you. And it may not be the same thing at all schools. What works at Emerton might not work at Bunny-O. I don't know. But hopefully you will explore and come back with us with these are our recommendations. Because I understand teachers don't want to be away from the students, not one of them. And so, but I don't know what the solution is either. So just want to say thank you so much for your great presentation, and know that we hear you loud and clear, and we can understand the concern with the testing, and we just have to look at a way to fix it. And I would say, as the board, we're counting on you to tell us, because you're the ones who are out there, we aren't. So we're counting on you to tell us what can we do to fix it, and how we can support you. So thank you so much. Dr. Marsden?
Yeah, and I want to thank our team for the presentation, fantastic. And, you know, board, I want to just highlight Mr. Tillman, Mr. Gallo, you each made some comments, Dr. Flores, relative to this topic. And we're actually in the place we should be. You heard loud and clear, we did not have a robust mechanism before to monitor progress for early literacy. I've sat down at lunches with many of you talking about the need for early literacy in your own personal comments. I've talked with Ashley and others, leaders in the district. We have not had a robust system to train and build the capacity of our staff around early literacy. And this is typical. What Nancy expressed is really the growing pains that come when you're implementing change. You have the forming, storming, norming, performing stages of change. These are hard things, they're painful, but I believe a key mechanism to teaching, you cannot teach without assessment. You can't. You have to have assessment in place to teach. Otherwise, you're not teaching in anything. I mean, if it was golf, you're going to put me in line to golf, you better take a look at how I'm doing in golf before you start providing me instruction. So these are important pieces for us. You know, when we walk through change, I think you heard the prime leadership from Ms. Doizan. You walk hand in hand with people through that change process so they can do it smoothly. And so these are the key roles. I have every confidence in our literacy leadership team to find solutions that will help our team grow in their capacity. The end goal of this experience will be to build the capacity of our staff in early literacy. So I'm excited about what's ahead. Dr. Mitchell, I want to thank you for your leadership. It's not an easy task. Change is hard, but I have every confidence we're going to see great things. We're already seeing that, I think, on the DRA assessments now. If those assessments are anywhere aligned to what the CASP says, I think that's the proof's in the pudding. So it is hard work, but you know, I remember somebody once telling me that's why they call it work. So let's get to it. All right, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
you,
Let's
team.
give them a round of applause. Great job. Thank you. Okay, now we would go into session 7.0, 7.1, California School Dashboard. Dr. Mitchell?
Yes,
Or
Dr. Mitchell.
Marsden?
Dr. Mitchell is up. He has a very brief administrative report. Bulge. So go ahead, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. So, board, there are two things at your dais around this LCFF and local indicator report. This is just a report for the board. There's no action here. So, based on the local control funding formula, California has a new accountability system that is based on multiple measures. These measures are used to determine local education agency and school progress toward meeting the needs of their students. Indicators for each of the state priorities are captured through the district CalPADS data that is shared with the state. Local indicators are reported annually to the Board of Education and stakeholders at a regularly scheduled local school board meeting that we're doing tonight. So our local indicators include basic services and conditions at schools. So that's basically the Williams report, our teacher credentialing, our facilities use. Implementation of state academic standards. That's a verification that yes, indeed, we are implementing the state content standards. And that's priority 2 for the state. Parent engagement, that's an indicator that we have systems to gauge parent satisfaction. And then a school climate, that's an indicator that we have systems in place to gauge the climate and safety feeling of students at our schools. And so those 4 local indicators, we're happy to report to the board, that we'll be reporting to the state that we've met all of these local indicator requirements. And so that is my report. Be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you. Board, any questions? I know we are focused on something else right now since it's after 8 o'clock. And I probably would be if I was not chairing this meeting. But any questions?
All right.
Then let's move right along to session 8, 8.1, report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. Let's move on, and we'll come back to Ashley. 8.2, report by California School Employees Association. 8.3, report.
Well, he is here, so we'll see. Do you have any comments tonight, Mr. Nothing to report. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. 8.3, report by Communications Workers of America. And our new chairperson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you today?
Real good, thanks.
That's good. Good evening, Dr. Marsden and fellow board members. Actually, my new title doesn't start until December 1st. And I'm not exactly certain what happened with Ron, but I had an issue that came up earlier this evening that took me away from coming here earlier. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is some of the problems that we've run into. I've had guest teachers being I don't know if you want to call it attacked or assaulted or whatever, or talked to by parents who are just coming on campus just before school lets out and demanding to know what's happening with their children, right when the guest teacher is trying to get the students to line up and get ready to leave. And this seems to have happened more than once because I've had more than one person complain about it. I've also had guest teachers basically bullied and assaulted verbally by students. At one school, this happened when the principal was not there and the counselor was out sick, and they had I guess you might say, a lead teacher leading the classroom, leading the school. And when the principal found out about it, she went in and talked to the whole class. She went in and talked to these particular students. She brought the parents in and talked to them. They got the students to actually admit what they did to this guest teacher. And the guest teacher who was basically afraid to go back to that school is now willing to go back. And that's because the principal went out of her way to find out what happened. When that kind of thing happens, we have less problems going to the Dr. Wiseman or Dr. Funches, and we have the problems usually solved at the school. And that's what I would like to see happen more often. We had the same situation happen at another school in which, again, the principal was off campus. The student threatened to have the guest teacher fired. The principal happened to be brand new or something. Anyway, I'm not exactly certain the whole story because I got it third hand. But it was basically that the teacher was upset with what happened, but because these people came out of nowhere, showed up just as he's leaving and talked to him about what was going on, and found out the next day when he came back to that school that it happened to be one student who was just trying to see what he could get away with. And that was pretty much solved. I had another incident that happened yesterday in which a classroom which had problems on Friday with a different guest teacher was allowed then to have this other guest teacher come in, and because she had a accent from another country, the students were harassing her all day long. And again, she was accused of yelling and screaming at the kids. In fact, she's, according to what was told to me, is the teachers actually were complaining about her. And she told me basically it was the students that were yelling and screaming. She couldn't get them to stop screaming at her. She had a resident sub in there. That person couldn't get them to stop screaming. She had a vice principal come in. That person couldn't get them to stop. So this classroom was basically out of control. And it had been out of control for 2 days while this teacher was out. Now, this is a problem that is being, as we talked about with, we're trying to figure out what's going on. And, well, these are the start of what I'm beginning to hear from. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to bring that up here or not, but I decided I'd try it out and see what happens. I'd also like to say thank you for allowing resident subs to be involved in the DRA training. At least that's what I heard, if I'm right. And that will be the end of my report.
Thank you. Mr.
Thank you so
Gianni.
much. Report by San Bernardino School Police Officers Association. Report by San Bernardino School Managers. Report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. Okay, thank you. 8.6, comments by board members. I saw Mr. Tillman's light first, so we'll start from this end and go down to Dr. Wyatt. Mr. Tillman, 5 minutes, please. You only have to deal with me one more month
One more month.
as board president.
Oh, okay. I went to a event that one of the nonprofits did at the Rodney Robertson, the thing he does loved ones with the basketball tournament, and he had a team there, San Bernardino. But I want to thank Tom Pace and Ms. Christopher's for helping us to, make it happen. I went to another meeting with Dignity Health. They do the thing at San Bernardino High School. I think somehow the board needs to maybe do a resolution or something just to explain to district staff that we support partnership with these nonprofits. Now, I know we have overwhelming support by the board, but it's not getting translated and it's not getting to the sites. And I think maybe we ought to just set something up where we have some processes and procedures in place where if a person submits for a building, then there's a district department that has keys and they can put out to the district that if there's custodians that want to work that weekend, they can. And then talk to and maybe we can agendize it about the entire process, because right now it's not working, and it's obvious that the sites don't want our nonprofits to be at the sites. They'd rather see the school closed that weekend. And I know myself, and I know Dr. White, he knows how much it benefits to have these kids in a constructed environment. I mean, even Rodney, he has 6 teams. That morning, he had a team of, 15 to 18 kids, little kids, from Rio Vista and North Park and schools throughout the district. And normally, they would have to pay, these are travel teams, they would pay $150 a month at these more affluent communities. He's able to do it because he's able to host these events. But we have staff that don't understand the importance of giving our kids constructive things to do, and the understanding that if our sites can be opened up for these kids, it benefits the students, which are our students, and the entire community. So, but it has to be agendized, and it is something that has to happen at the board level. And I want to champion the process because I think we should be doing more. When you look at an organization like Dignity Health that had been doing it for 20 years, and then the site decided they couldn't do it anymore. And I don't like attending meetings, but I attended this meeting. And when I attend meetings, I tell people it's not appropriate for a board member to attend a meeting. And I usually like to walk out thinking I didn't have to be in that meeting because things worked the way it's supposed to. I didn't get that feeling this time. If I hadn't been in the meeting, the things that they were telling the staff, telling Dignity Health, our partner, were totally unreasonable. So something needs to be done. And so to the superintendent, maybe you could take a look at what's going on and then come back to the board with a report on how we move forward and make it a better process. But there's a huge need for you to get involved and change the way that the sites operate in terms of open up these sites for the nonprofits that are trying to provide things for our students to do.
No, you're right, Mr. Tillman. There's a lack of a process, and when you have a lack of a process, you have chaos. So it is the board's task to direct us on what are the parameters you're looking for.
Exactly.
You want a fair, equitable process.
Exactly.
We're hungry to do the same thing. Janie's department's already working on a lot of that now, so that'd be a piece we have interest in.
Thank you. And I'm happy right now about the results from the election. I guess I shouldn't talk about politics up here, but I know Ms. Rogers is going to hate it because next year will be 23 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hill. I just have one item. We were pleased to be at the, along with Dr. Hill and many of you in this room, North Park Elementary held their Fall Harvest Festival of Gratitude, they called it, this past Saturday. And many members of our community went, many of our board members came in and out, our staff were there. It was really a neat time to have the kids together, showcase the school, celebrate, and, you know, just remember as well. It's still in the process of healing with many of our staff, and it will be for years as we've learned from other sites who have experienced this across the country, which has been advising and just surrounding our entire team at North Park with just love and understanding and counsel. It was really neat to see. We had many, we had our local congressman here, assembly people. It was really great to see so many people show up at that, and especially the kids and performers and the bands from Cajon and the other schools just rallying their support around North Park, and seeing all of the staff members receiving, you know, certificates and being recognized, you know, for their efforts and perseverance, quite frankly. And that's what it really is, isn't it? Just an effort to persevere under trauma and crisis. And, you know, you know that you're doing great work there and making a difference in these kids' lives, especially at the elementary school level where you're setting the course for their life. And so I just appreciate all of you that went, and I see Tom in the audience too. I mean, the facility, the architects, the construction folks, Venair, the managers were there, and the work that they did on that school. I mean, it just showcases, you set a new standard, Tom. You know, now we're going to have that expectation on every one of our construction projects. But you showed what could be done, and this district can rise to the occasion, and does, quite frankly, with the great team that we have. And I'm very proud to be part of this district. I'm very proud to be a colleague of those sitting up here, and in service of our community with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Medina?
I won't necessarily talk about politics, but I will talk about that today was Election Day, and I know that unfortunately people don't come in higher numbers, especially in odd years. And so one of the things that I'm really looking at is in the future is pushing the school district to move into even year elections, because in reality, even years, or when you look at governor races, the presidential races, you have more people that do come out and vote. And I believe it's important to make sure that when you have elections, that constituents or citizens put that right out. And so thank you so much for those that did come out today. And I think it's very important that we serve as a board in order to make sure that the quality education for all students happens across the board, from our special ed all the way through gifted kids. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rogers?
Let me see, I have just a couple of things on here that I want to go over. I was at an event, actually, myself and Ms. Medina was at an event where we were engaging students along the level of what you just were mentioning. But one student in particular was asked a very important question, and I told her that I would bring that to the board and make you all aware. She goes to King Middle School, and her question was, why don't all of our middle schools have a gym? And so I'd like to put that into the lap of the district and see. I mean, she went on into detail, and I'm hoping I can get her to come to the board meeting and express herself. But, you know, she was very nervous and when she was asking her question. And I know some of our schools do, and probably the older schools don't. I don't know what that is, but that is the question that I wanted to pose for Soraya Bayaki. And then also, I happened to be at another one of our campuses, and when we talk about climate, that also includes what our schools look like. And I happened to be at Bradley today, and I was very, very proud of how the school looked. It just was immaculate, and she went on and talked to us about her janitor or her maintenance person there. We were there because of the Safe Routes Community Mob coming together with that, and Chief Polino and a number of individuals from the city was there, and I'm sure he'll be sharing out with that. But I was very proud of that campus. However, there was another campus that I was at, and it was kind of brought to my attention that our campuses do have, vermin. So, I mean, just to the point that it's happening because we're not telling our students or holding our students and everyone accountable to make sure that we're just not eating all over the place. And it's the same thing if they're seeing roaches. I mean, I know I wouldn't want roaches in my house. If they're seeing rats, I know I wouldn't want that either. And if they're seeing snakes, the same thing. But they're all coming for the same reason. So I'm just bringing that to the district's attention because it is coming from your maintenance staff. They're doing the best that they can. And I'll even say these type of comments. These are the ones that concern me, that says, when we have a major event, we clean up well. But then the rest of the days, we just kind of let it go by the wayside. So what are we saying to our students? What are we telling them? How do we care about our campus as well? So I think, we can do a better job talking about that because, if there's all of these vermin feces and things like that, I mean, eventually it can become a problem. And I know we've had individuals come and talk to us about it before, but this totally, again, caught me off guard. And again, if they share it, then we should be, concerned about it. And we could teach our students and everyone how to do a little bit better. So I hope the district can look into that. I also, I saw the report here about our remodeling. I think this is in reference to timelines and things like that. And I think this is indicating we're going to eventually have some timelines that we can really look at and see and share out exactly what we're doing with our school improvement versus, just, I know we're doing it, and I think we all can answer that question, that we are doing it, but sometimes it's a little bit better to be able to just see some time frames. Is it 2018? Is it 2019? Whatever it is, let's look at it so we know we're able to prioritize. Like Mr. Tillman often says, we can say, wait a minute, let's stop, let's put some money here into these schools, because they're not getting newer, they're getting older. And so, when the students, again, I know we were talking about a while back with the where they can sit under the shelters. I don't know how many of our schools have that. I don't know if this is on the list, but I know it gets very hot, outside for our students. So those are things we can look at as well. I also wanted to ask, this came up, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but is there something called an education opportunity survey? Or was that in reference to what you gave? Who would answer that question? Education opportunity survey, what exactly is that? Never heard of it? I don't know. I was asked the question. Did our district do the education opportunity survey? So if you can get back. No, no. Okay. And then I do want to, in closing, revisit find out when we're going to talk again about class size reduction. I know we talked about it, then we stopped. We said we were going to get back on it again. But it would be, the year is ending. We're starting the new year. And the conversation is back out there. And we just have to tackle the elephant in the room and know what we're doing. And then finally, I do want to congratulate 22, 9, and 4, and they know who they are. And then I want to say hello to Hardy Brown II, who also texts me here, and he's doing well, and enough to be texting. So I told him we'd say hello to him on television and get well soon. All right. Yes, he had it, and it was a successful
Beautiful.
thing. So he's, yeah.
We missed you at the board meeting yesterday.
Thank you.
Yes, get well, Hardy. Our prayers are with you. Yes, I wanted to share a few things. And Mr. Tillman, yes, and Ms. Medina, today was voting day, and I wish all of us a victorious victory. And it's not selfish, it's because we as a working board are very in line with each other and respect each other, and we have gotten lots of things done together, so hopefully we're all victorious. I On Saturday, Assemblywoman Eloise Reyes had an event at KVCR, and Dr. Marsden and cabinet and board members, eight of our students from Arroyo Valley High School got recognized for the digital media awards, and they were the only high school in the Inland Empire that was recognized, and we had the most students. And I have to give a shout out to my daughter, who is their teacher, and who taught them and helped them prepare for the competition. So I think that was really, really great. And they represented us very well. On Monday, I went to a parent meeting yesterday. Dr. Monatis and Dr. Marsden and board, there were 75 parents there. 75 parents from 10 until about 12:30. And they were together to plan, the FLIs, and it was just wonderful to see. It was fabulous. It was African-American and Latino families and leaders. It was just, I was so jazzed by the energy, the positive energy, and it's just incredible. I think that our strategic plan, Dr. Monatis is working, and the parents are jazzed to bring in more parents, parents that haven't participated, and that's what we want to do. We want to grow our parent engagement and so forth. So I was really, really happy. On Friday, I got the opportunity to go to Ms. Rogers' recognition of Woman of Distinction by State Senator Morrell. And I was really happy to support you in your honor. So I was, yeah. And then we celebrated Dr. Hill's Maggie's Cafe dedication at the PDC. And I didn't know all the history behind it, but it was a wonderful history about special needs students starting a cafeteria and cooking for kids at San Andreas, and that's a tribute to you, Dr. Hill.
Thank
so
you.
very, very nice. I read our board correspondence, and I don't know if you saw the sample letter of support for DACA. I don't know if we could have to agendize this, Dr. Marsden or Dr. Hill.
No, it's already heading in.
Pardon me?
It's already heading in.
It's already heading in. Well, thank you very much. It was very important for us to do that. I want to thank Ms. Christakos for the centralized service facility report that we got. And just to follow up on what Ms. Rogers said, I wasn't sure if Gomez was on the list, but the kids don't have overhangs, and when it rains, they get drenched. So was that in there? Was for them to have a quarters?
For the lunch shelters?
No, not the lunch shelters. It's where the rooms are. There's no overhang, and the kids get drenched when it's pouring rain.
We'd have to look at that. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll get back to you. I
At
think.
Gomez Elementary. I happened to be out there, and I got drenched too, several times. And so it was eye-opener, so that we can get or quarters, they have no overhang by the doors of the rooms. So I think we should look into that. Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for your report on the DRA, EDL, and the team. I know those are growing pains, like Dr. Marsden said, but it is an effective tool. And if we are supporting our teachers, and if there are, needs for us to provide another adult in the room or two, I think we should explore those possibilities. So I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I still want to know more about, not right now, but I would like clarification on the A through G on track. I still don't quite understand, even though you explained it, I still would like to have a conversation about that, Dr. Marsden. Yeah.
Certainly. Are you referencing to the last BC where we clarified?
Right, to the last BC.
Yes, so I'd be happy to call you.
Okay, right. And in terms of citations, I don't know if you all looked at those citations or not. There's still quite a few. And I would like, Chief Paulino's not here today, but would really like an update on it. Dr. Marsden, maybe we can agendize Dr. Hill in the near future, just to discuss the gravity and extent of the citations that are being given. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President. And kind of surprised Danny didn't say this, but just want to congratulate our Cajon Cowboy football team, who went undefeated in league and won sole possession of the league championship, which is a first in a while. We've had to split with Rev, and I took great pleasure in watching them beat Rev their last game. And you know, sorry, Kurt. He's a good friend of mine, Kurt Brook, the coach over there and the AD, but Cajon prevailed, and great to see that. And you know, also being there just at our new field and seeing the modernization of our fields. And you know, I had some great conversation with Tom Pace, and I really appreciate his vision. You know, he and his staff and Josito and over there and what they are seeing for our district. And also another event at Cajon was our Amazon partnership, that I was able to be there for that as well. And just want to thank Amazon for developing that partnership and the donation to our school as well as our community partners. And again, while I was there, it was really nice to see the quad area cleaned up. And it's amazing how just cleaning an area can make a difference in just the perception of a site. You know, my daughter went there, my son goes there now, and I know that was one of my biggest concerns was just the gum all over the place and how the grounds looked. And again, it's just amazing how some elbow grease and hard work can make a site look that much nicer. And again, our older sites, it doesn't matter if a site's new or old, it's how we take care of it and how we present it, and you know, how we respect it as well. And then had a wonderful tour to theater, finally got to see the Cajon Theater, and you know, again, putting our money where our mouth is and increasing the quality of our VAPA programs, which you've heard me up here say quite a few times is important to me. Participated in a safety symposium at U of R about a week and a half ago, and we had some wonderful individuals on there, some very influential folks in our community. Chief Paulino was there, Chief Burguan, Chief of Police of Redlands, Riverside County Sheriff, Samuel County Assistant Sheriff, Superintendent of Redlands, Superintendent of Samuel County, Superintendent of Schools. And time again, the issue of mental illness continues to come up, and trauma within our students. And when you hear it that often with that many leaders in the Inland Empire, it needs to be a top priority for us, which I know it is. And again, obviously, active shooter training, which I think our staff and our city do an amazing job, amazing collaboration of working together. And I just want to acknowledge our San Diego State School Police, again, for the amazing job they do. Again, for that shield of protection they give our kids. You know, it's very hard when you see these events happen, you know, Las Vegas, now Texas, and it's happening all too often. And I had challenged our state legislators at that symposium that we need to do more. We need to create law and policy to help better prepare our schools and our community for these tragedies that keep happening. Also want to thank some folks for being presenters at our Gangs and Drugs Task Force Summit. We had Ray Culberson there, Mickey Chahusky. I always hate when I'm getting her name, but Mickey was there. And then also our Royal Valley Hawks ROTC Color Guard, who presented the colors. You know, I was telling Bernie earlier that they were there to make sure to thank them, but I want to thank them publicly. Major Williams and Sergeant DeLong and the young men and young women who presented the colors did an outstanding job and represented our district well. Also, just I saw some suspension rates that came out recently through CDE. Information, I don't know if it's out there yet, but again, just wanting to focus on our suspension rates of our African-American students and decreasing those. And it's not just in our district, it's across many districts. But, you know, Danny talked a little bit earlier about just having opportunities for our kids. And male mentoring, I think, is huge. And I know we can get that number down. We're going in the right direction. Last time I talked to Dell a little bit about that, and I saw our numbers are decreasing with our African-American population and our special ed students. So that is great. Just want to see it continue to go down. And overall, just want to thank everybody for the job that they're doing, and looking forward to a little bit more conversation this evening with my colleagues. And again, hopefully some really good news continues throughout the evening. I will say it is an honor to be up here with all of them. I think we have coherence on our board. We may disagree sometimes on things, but ultimately the bottom line, as I tell folks in our community, is that this board cares about our kids and they care about our community. And, we couldn't get it done without us up here agreeing on issues. And I will say when we disagree, usually it's in tremendous respect behind closed doors too. So I'm glad we don't do that out here because elections bring ugliness out. And I'll tell you, it makes it very difficult for my colleagues up here and ourselves, and we see the nastiness in politics. But I can tell you the goodness of politics is what happens right here. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt. I've managed to cross quite a few things off, but again, at North Park, it was a great event. Also, congratulations to Dr. Flores, because the night after Ms. Rogers received her Woman of Distinction, Dr. Flores received one also from LULAC, so congratulations to you for that. I had an opportunity to go to Middle College High School. They had an adoption by ThinkWise Credit Union. Well done, very talented students there. Just enjoyed that event. And I know Dr. Flores mentioned Magus Kids, and I just want to personally say to everyone involved in that, it was a very touching event. I'm just so touched, and just a wonderful job. And everyone who had anything to do with it, I just want to just say thank you so much. And hopefully we can again make that a part of Pathways, because we have all of these restaurants coming to San Bernardino, Rialto, and they don't all need dishwashers. Some of them need managers, and we need to be working with our students and training them to be managers and chefs and making major bucks. I attended a meeting today at the San Manuel Community Center, and they announced their expansion plan, and one of it is to put a 17-story hotel on the facilities. That's going to be a lot of jobs, and they want to hire people from San Bernardino, so they're putting that. They're putting in a 4,000-seat event center. San Manuel, yes, up at the on the casino. No, not Arrowhead Springs, at the casino. But they're bringing in another minimum of 1,400 jobs once they finish, but they're also going to have a lot of construction work and things of that nature. So it's a great opportunity for us to get our students involved in that. And I just want to share one last thing. I want to give thanks to Angela, whose last name I don't remember, with foster youth and the homeless program. Arikides, and her staff. I just happened to be at the PDC building when they got the results of their survey. They had about 300 students at the DoubleTree, and there's a young man who has been coming this way for many years. His name is Jao John, and Jao John is like a magnet to all of these kids. And I just want to read this to you. And these are the comments. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the question was, what did you enjoy the most about the conference today? I enjoyed today and would come again. Jai Johns and Keith Jose talking. I liked everything. I made new friends. These are from the foster youth and homeless students. Information given out for college and financial aid, lunch, and the conferences, meeting new people and hearing the speakers talk. Giles John, keeping the conference beyond positive. Giles John, enjoyed and learned new things that are helpful. Meeting this amazing, kind-hearted, grown people who actually care. Amazing, learning things about college for the foster program. Great food, the speakers touched me. I really enjoyed the poetic. Lots of information and great event. How inspiring and motivational all the speakers were. The conference was informational. I enjoyed how we discussed our pain and how we can turn pain into power, which I thought was just wonderful. The sessions inspired me to do good. It was fun and life-changing for me. Everyone really helpful, and the speakers were really informative, and everything was well organized. Sessions made me feel better about myself. And those came from the foster and the homeless students. So if you have not heard Child John, you need to, and I'm hoping he will be one. I know County Schools, I believe, supported us by bringing him in because he has done a lot with county schools. But he's absolutely amazing, and I'm just hoping that we will kind of take a look at bringing him to speak to more of our kids. But kids stood in line just to give him a hug. He was that powerful. So those are my comments. 8.7, comment by superintendent and staff members.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. And one, board, I want to draw your attention, there's some new posters up around our room. You probably saw those as you came in, and I want to thanks to Linda Bardier and her team for making those possible to showcase our strategies around our community engagement plan. One of the tasks we have this year is to work as a team to help ensure that our plan is known, owned, and energized by our community. And so this is one way that we've talked about doing that. It was mentioned earlier, but the Binational Health Fair was a huge success, had big compliments from our consul, Solomon Rosas, directly to the board, and I want to extend those to you. Very complimentary of our team and our support over at Indian Springs High School, making it one of the largest binational health fairs really ever anywhere. So they did a great job, had several countries represented. Again, echoing the board member recognitions of Dr. Barbara Flores, along with Ms. Alba and Dr. Valdez were recognized as women as distinction through LULAC, and then Ms. Gwen Rogers, as mentioned, was nominated as a woman of distinction as well. And Sandra Rodriguez, that's right, with the LULAC award, that's right, we did have her as well. And then as a reminder, board, we have the community gathering. This will be our 6th annual community gathering for excellence. And this year it's going to be a unique twist in that we have actual showcases going on from the podium. You heard Ms. Isabel Cholby will be speaking, but we have a number of other people speaking on the successes of programs and activities going on within our district. So we're very excited about that, looking forward to it. Again, kudos to Dr. Hill and us recognizing Mackey's Cafe grand reopening. It was a wonderful event to see friends come out to celebrate with us on that. And then it is official. We have won the Golden Bell Award for 2 programs, Operation Student Recovery, and our Grow Your Own Teacher Recruitment Program will be receiving Golden Bell Awards at this year's CSBA conference. So congratulations to Dr. Muneris and Dr. Wiseman for your leadership and support of these endeavors. That's a big deal, so we're grateful. And then, board, a couple comments came up tonight around facilities and cleanliness of our facilities. I want you to know a couple things are occurring. Ms. Christakos has just done a fabulous job of leading this effort. She's already begun to introduce cabinet to some preliminary conversation around a broad facility needs assessment. This will encompass things like interviewing our parents, our students, our staff, the board, really getting deep on what are we looking at to do the next several years down the road and how do we go about that. In addition, this is the first year we've implemented the 5-star quality award criteria. Remember, this is around landscaping, cleanliness of our schools, maintenance, customer service, et cetera. And so we're excited about that. You will receive a timeline on the Board of Ed remodel along with sites and their modernization. We're not doing board versus sites, it's both. We're doing both remodels and growth and expansion at our schools as well as this work of our board. So looking forward to that. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, board, I've been invited to provide a TED Talk at an upcoming TEDx event this coming Friday. And if you're interested in attending, you can talk to Carla. She'll get you a code where you can get a free ticket to come listen to all the talks that are being given. So you'd be welcome as a guest to come to that. I hope you can make it. It'll be at La Sierra University in Riverside. So those are my comments tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. I have one more thing. This is important. I'm going to actually talk on culture eats schools for lunch and how lessons from high reliability organizations may help U.S. schools thrive. So you see how we've responded building the kind of culture for success. And so Mr. Tillman's my inspiration. So
Well, we're still working on it, Dale.
I did want to compliment one of our own, Carla Cruz, a school psychologist in San Bernardino City Unified, received the Nadine M. Lambert Outstanding School Psychologist Award for her contributions to the profession by the California Association of School Psychologists. It's its recent annual convention in Orange County. This is a big deal. I won't read the whole thing, but I will pass this around to you. It's a huge compliment to her. She and her team did a ton through North Park. And with the incident that occurred recently with Riverside, I want you to know I got a call early this morning, late last night, from Dave Hansen, superintendent from Riverside. He was passing his compliments that our psychologists were there helping them and supporting them in that work. And our Linda Bartier and her team, thank you, Linda, for reaching out to their PIO. He shared those compliments. I wanted to extend those as well. So I'll pass these couple things down and back if I get them back from you when you're done. Thank you. Those are my comments tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Marston. Session 9.0, the consent calendar.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the consent calendar. Are there any?
9.18.
I hadn't finished my question. Are there any to be pulled?
9.18 and 9.27.
9.18 and 9.27, Mr. Tillman.
It was 2. 9.27
9.18.
and 9.18.
9.43, Ms. Rogers.
9.59.
9.59, Dr.
recuse myself.
Wyatt. Any others? 9.26, Dr. Flores. Are there any others? If not,
I'll amend my motion to approve those except that were pulled.
yes, except for 9.1A, 9.26, 9.27, 9.43, and 9.59. Okay, with the exception of those, let's vote. Okay, thank you. 9.1A, Mr. Tillman.
Yes, I think it's just important. I already called and talked to Ms. Christakis about this item, but I think it's important for the public to know. And I know I talked to Ms. Christakis, and they're going to make sure they contact the committees. But the building that's on here is a different building than the building exactly next door to where the initial building we talked about. So it's a building that's more finished, a lot more square footage, because the other one was 7,000. This is 27,800. So they're talking about using that additional space for.
Yes, so during the move, we have a couple of departments that will be housed there as well. And then what happened is we were looking at a much smaller area, and he gave us this additional space for the same amount of money. And so this is a win-win. It's move-in ready. I believe only the carpet has to be changed, and a couple minor adjustments will be made, and it moves the timeline up to December, January versus, I think, when we talked, the other place was going to take us till about May before it would be ready. So this is really good. We wanted the board to see this first before we talk to the different groups that will be housed there temporarily.
So Danny, what is your comment on this?
Oh, I think it's great, but I just
It's
want to
great,
make sure
okay.
that
Yeah.
they're going to take the parents back out. It's in the same strip mall, or I don't
Right,
call it a strip mall
right.
because Marshall's is there, but just further west in that facility. But if they're going to get it up and going sooner and quicker, then I think it's even better. But I just want to make sure the public was aware that there are some changes to it.
That's great. That's good.
Mr.
Good
Gallo?
job.
Dr. Hill, Janie, do you know if there'd be room for like holding board meetings there and stuff too, now that with this item?
I don't That wasn't one of our options. We'll have some options for you. We're bringing those
I
to the
see.
next board meeting.
Okay, thanks.
But that wasn't one of them. And I know Dr. Monaros will be working with the different groups to show the facility to them.
Move to approve.
Before we move, I'd like to make, I know your light was on. Did you have another comment? Okay. My concern is there a possibility, you know, that building is a little farther away from the transportation center. And that was a concern I had at first, because most parents aren't walking alone. They're walking with kids and strollers and things of that nature. But also it's close to the freeway, and my concern was seeing a few homeless people in the area. And I know some things we can't avoid. But if we are going to put that kind of money, have we looked at possibly buying the building?
I don't think we've looked into buying it. I know we're going to have security. Chief talked about that last time, as well as they have an entryway with a receptionist there that the, you know, part of the cost of the building pays for that. And it's a little more secure than the first building that we looked at. So we can take your concerns, and we'll make sure that we explore everything that we can ensure that parents feel safe and our staff feels safe. But we can look into that. I don't believe we've looked into buying the building.
Oh, okay. You know, because one of the comments I've heard already, when someone said, we don't have to worry about parking spaces because they can steal the cars anyways.
Oh.
So, but, you know, hopefully that won't happen. But my other concern, is there an elevator or someplace for people? Is it handicap accessible where people can get to the second floor? Okay. And you don't need to do anything exterior as far as the Disability Act is concerned?
And Dr. Hill, they said there's actually rooms in there that were set up for medical to some extent?
So there, I'm going to let Dr. Menara speak, but there are large areas that we can start with some of those clinics.
Right, so when we toured it, you could very easily see where there could be the medical clinic, very close to the entrance. You could see where there would be a nice room for parent meetings. The elevator, we did check that and asked about the maintenance of it. We wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have any problems with that. And the lease agent said, no, that it's updated on a regular basis. We also asked about the security, and the entire mall has patrol. So that exists already, so we would have additional, but that would be in place. The space itself was, when you walked into it, you could see very easily how you could use this for all the different services that we want to offer. There's still more services that we'll be offering down the road, but it's a really good option for the meantime. And like you, it was kind of like, well, can we just be here? So, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah, well, I just hope you take a look at, you know, because we can put that kind of money, why not just go ahead and do a permanent?
We'll look into that. We'll get back
Okay.
to you. Thank
Good,
you
thank
for the
you.
suggestion.
Ms. Rogers, thank you. Ms. Rogers?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on it because it's back from a couple of weeks ago, and you know my thoughts are still the same. I really am supportive of the parents getting this, you know, the final piece. I really am, but I just now even seeing the number has even $500,000 for temporary when we were already delayed and behind on not doing. It's just another example. Even when we were yes, or portion of us were yes in doing it, then we're back with a new yes, which in my mind just says this is why we have to do it right the first time. So those are my only comments, but I still stand the same way I did before. I am looking forward to the parents having the center that they have requested, but the temporary piece for me is just not working.
Thank you. So now we need to vote on 9.18.
It's been moved, is it moved?
Move to
It's been
approve.
moved and
Move
properly
to approve.
seconded. We
Yeah.
just need,
Okay.
okay. Let's vote. Okay, thank you. 9.26, Dr. Flores. Okay, Dr. Flores has to recuse herself. This is the agreement with California Association of Bilingual Education, also known as CABI project.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Let's vote.
Oh, wait, it's not going through.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Somebody want to get Dr. Flores, please?
It's been moved. 9.27.
Okay. 9.27, Mr. Tillman.
Yeah, I know. I guess it was some confusion on my part. If at the last meeting, the board gave direction to have staff go back and we said then do a pilot and then come back to us and find a way to ensure that we had buy-in to move forward, then it just comes back agendized. To me, it should start with the discussion of the board to make sure that we're all on the same page and moving forward. And the only thing I'm concerned about is making sure that if we agree to spend the $1,982,000, that we make sure that we, when we say in a year, we look at the usage, that there is being used. I don't think we should pay for it if, I'm real leery about paying for it and then going back and finding out no one's using it. So we spent $2 million on something that, 50 kids use or 60 kids use. There has to be a commitment from district staff that they know how this is going to be used and that it's worth the money.
Thank you. And I think when we talked about it the last time, we wanted to make sure Ashley and SBTA was a part of the team that made that decision. And I think that was primarily the thing we were waiting on, which means the district would be using.
Yeah, but then that's.
So, Mr. Tillman, to answer your question,
Yes,
if the board takes action tonight to approve this, we will ensure its fullest implementation with fidelity. That's our goal.
Here, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Flores?
Yes, it was, Dr. Spencer presented it to Ashley and Dr. Pettis and Dr. Mitchell, and I also went to hear the full hour-and-a-half presentation. It is an incredible program. All of our kids and families and the whole San Bernardino will have access to it. We need our kids to engage in literacy and biliteracy interactions. And so I got to see the gamut of all the possibilities and so forth. And it's just not going to be rolled out, well, here it is. No, it's going to be presented to our Boys and Girls Club, to our faith-based organizations, to our families. And it's so that kids can use it at home and have access. What our kids need is access to literacy. And they need, yes, we have the 0 to 5, but also we need the K1, 2, 3 books as well. And it's amazing, you guys. The kids can switch from Spanish to English. If they're listening to a book, it lights up, so they get to see the words. There's songs, there's poems, there's games for them to learn letters and sounds and et cetera. It is tremendous. And so it just isn't, here's the program. No, they're going to support our families. And if teachers want to use it, then it's optional. However, this is for our families in the home. And once it's downloaded, Danny, this you're going to like. They don't have to go online. Once it's downloaded, they have it in their devices, and they have access.
No, I love the program, Dr. Flores. My whole thing is make sure it's going to get used.
Right. Well, it's going to be used widespread. It's tremendous. I went also, board, I forgot to mention, I went to Pomona. We were all invited to go to Pomona, and I went for like 4 hours and toured and saw the incredible results that Pomona has. I've been invited to Rialto and also to Palmdale, and they're having tremendous success in terms of the family engagement and the kids involved. And that's what we need. Our kids need access, our family needs access, and they need authentic engagement, period. Yeah. So I support it like 1,000%, yeah.
And thank you. And we do get invitations from districts throughout the state to witness what they're doing with the program. Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President. One, I'm in full support of the program. I've seen the rollout on it with Dr. Spencer and when we were at county schools, and it is absolutely an amazing program, and what Dr. Flores is kind of explaining it in detail. My one concern, I think, is a little bit around the lines of what Danny was saying, Mr. Tillman, and that is just to make sure that our teachers and our collective bargaining unit were bought into this. And I know last time we were talking about, I was a little bit worried about it because we were talking about McGraw and the rollout on the new curriculum there. So I just want to make sure that we're all thumbs up on it and moving forward to implement this program. And I know we could monitor usage with the full implementation, and we know actually how many words the kids have read and how many students are utilizing it. So in regards to having that data and feedback, I think it is important that we see that. But I know we had some targets in the county, and Dr. Spencer helped me out here, but it was, what was it, an initial number, and then we eclipsed that number by.
Excuse me, it was initially 3 million words read, and we read 13 million in half the time.
Yeah. So.
In half the time?
Mm-hmm. So it was, the results were outstanding, and I'm hopeful, and I'll be optimistic that we do even a better job here in our city with our students, and that we could get similar, if not better, results. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on 9.27?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Let's vote, please. Thank you. 9.43, Ms. Rogers? Okay, she has to recuse herself. And that's the agreement with Young Women's Empowerment Foundation.
So moved.
Second, yeah.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Let's vote, please. Thank you. If someone would get
You got to go.
9.59, Dr. Wyatt.
Page 34.
Oh, he had to recluse himself?
Yeah, Dr. Wyatt's recusing himself because he's an employee of the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. 9.59. Let's vote, please. Thank you. If someone could get him. We'll move to action item 10.1, personnel report.
As presented, Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Wiseman. 10.2, ongoing board initiatives.
Wait, we got to vote on it. So moved.
And much discussion on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Are we on 10.1?
10.1.
10.
We failed to vote on 10.1.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
we gotta
sorry,
vote.
jumped the gun. 10.1.
Oh, you voted?
Abigail.
Medina and I
Abigail.
have to vote.
Okay.
Okay, that's 10.1. I'm sorry. 10.2, ongoing board initiatives. Is there a motion?
So moved to accept.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion?
This is ongoing stuff?
Ongoing.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah, it was the one pulled from our top 10, right?
right.
Because they're ongoing.
Yeah, we took them out of the top 10 because we're already,
Yeah, again, meaning these are items you're progress monitoring. You,
Okay.
the public, are clear on things that we're still paying close attention to.
so it's been moved and properly seconded. Let's vote. Thank you. 10.3, Board Top 10.
So moved.
Second.
Can I?
Been moved
And
and
on,
properly.
yeah, and on this topic, Board, you have a couple options here. You can either ask yourselves for consensus to leave them as they are, or if you would like to consider follow-up items to include to the top 10, we can shift some of those board follow-up items to that top 10 list.
There is an item I think we should put on here, and we should agendize and discuss it. I know there's discussion, and it came up one time earlier, but about changes to Sierra. So I think it should be agendized and have the discussion about
Sierra High School.
Sierra High School.
Okay.
So it should be added to the list, and then have a presentation about what the thoughts are about the changes to it, even to, what's the other school? The one you talk about?
Neil Roberts.
E. Neil Roberts. If we're looking at making E. Neil Roberts a K-12 school,
So considerations of that
It should be-
Arrowhead Grove or Waterman Gardens area type.
I just think my
We
whole
need to
concern
discuss
is, is the possible changes to those sites, because it's going to be a big deal. And for
Okay, so
me,
possible site.
whatever the change is going to be, especially for Sierra, I mean, that's huge, because you have a population there that's being served, and changes could be.
If I worded it as possible site changes or relocation, does that satisfy?
Yeah, and do we want to make it specific to Sierra and E. Neil Roberts? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Or do we want to broaden the discussion to
Here's the thing.
other?
It came, I don't know what the impetus is, but it's definitely something that's being talked about.
Sure.
So I think we should have an open discussion amongst the
Right.
board to see if the interest is there, if we want to give direction on how to proceed.
I'm just suggesting the agenda item maybe be broader than simply those two schools.
Well, I haven't heard any talk about any.
Well, I've heard a number of, in fact, during the last conversation, there was a number of things that were
Well-
brought up.
Well, can I, there's some lights on, but if you want to finish, Mr. Gallo?
That's okay, I'm just,
His lights on.
My statement may help keep it broad enough for your discussion if we have possible site changes or relocation.
Well, Madam President,
Okay, let me get Ms. Rogers,
Is
then I
that-
get you, and then Dr. Scott.
Was that, are you done? Because I think he suggested the schools, but I don't want to speak.
well, that's pretty broad.
I mentioned, well, here's the thing. For me, the important part is that we have the discussion. All this is about prioritizing stuff. So if you're going to talk about a broad thing, that doesn't do me any good. It sounded like there was discussion about those two sites, and it sounded like it was almost to the point where people knew specifically what they wanted to do. And my whole thing is, whatever that thought process needs to be discussed by the entire board to give the direction and approve if we want to go in that direction.
I recall, Mr. Tillman, that we tabled that, so for further agendize,
We did.
for a further agendized item, so that we could discuss all the aspects of it.
Exactly.
And so forth. And so I concur with you that we need to agendize it so that we can have a full discussion of that particular item.
Sure. And Dr. Volkermer may have a suggestion for us.
Not a suggestion, but just to remind the board that this came as a result of a presentation we did quite some time ago now around Arrowhead Grove, and their request to create a K-12 complex for that attendance area, specifically for that attendance area, so the school program could be integrated into the neighborhood, so to speak. We got as far as the board saying we love the idea of what's the redevelopment at Arrowhead Grove, and that we like the idea of a K-12 complex possibility, but if that was going to necessitate the relocation of Sierra, we want to have a discussion about that. And we can certainly do that for you.
Suggestion we have a discussion.
Ms. Rogers?
That's the history.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Tillman?
You good?
Ms. Rogers?
Okay, and then I would, not just trying to fill up all the 10, but I think the class size reduction needs to be noted in there so that we can bring that to the resolve that we need to.
Yeah, so just all we need on the top 10 is a board consensus on the
Is
topics.
board-
that
Is
you-
there a consensus?
Yes, there is.
is-
Okay, so everyone's agreed.
Dr. Wyatt?
He said yes.
Yeah.
Just two items on the board top 10, actually on the ones that are on there now. Number 2, in regards to creating programs of excellence at other schools similar to Richardson. You know, I was thinking a lot about this and talked with a few folks, but do we not have a couple middle schools now that I would say are middle schools of excellence, are getting to that level that we could say or get close to saying that they're almost there? You know, we've had a couple middle schools that have been acknowledged recently, I know, since I've been on here. Schools to Watch, I believe they were, Serrano and Curtis. I'm just wondering, I know this has been a goal that's been on there for a long time.
Right.
And I'm wondering, are some of our middle schools close to reaching that?
Yeah, it's a good comment, Dr. Wyatt. And so we do know Golden Valley is having a site visit soon as a school to watch as well. And that is a pretty big distinction. I don't know, Dr. Mitchell, did you have another comment?
Yeah, so I think Dr. Marsden is absolutely right. Golden Valley, Curtis, and Serrano are achieving at very high levels, and that would be a consideration to just transfer those schools.
Golden Valley. Okay, and then, thank you very much for
Okay,
that.
so now we have 3
Oh, I had one more thing, too.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry,
Madam
go ahead.
President. And this one I highlighted when I was reading over the agenda over the weekend, and it came back to me when I was thinking about the symposium I was at, the safety symposium, and it was really important. And that was under, on our board follow-up on the right-hand page, on page 41, under school police. And, you know, the concern of what are the parent protocols during a crisis. And, you know, that was actually something that we received some praise on how we handled the crises, how our CRT was in place, how, you know, we were able to communicate with our parents. But do we have something even more formal than what we did then, after the fact?
What I may suggest, Dr. Wyatt, is that we then have the board consider, if they reach consensus, you could move that item from the board follow-up to the board top 10. Currently, you have 2 the board has asked us to consider adding just now, which is discussing the possible site changes or school relocations relative to Arrowhead Grove project,
Okay.
and then class size reductions, the second one that was just added. And then if you added this one, that would be what are parent protocols during crisis, we could add that. Is that the board's pleasure? Consensus, board, to do that?
I don't think I heard him say just parent protocol, but just protocols in general for the crisis?
During a crisis, I
Yeah.
mean, the parent protocol, because I know that was one of the biggest concerns, and we watched that recently in Riverside. You know, parents coming into school and they just
Right.
were panicking, what do I do? I know I thought we did an excellent job, and actually we've been reporting out on that, but have we formalized that into a policy or procedure?
Right, and it goes even deeper than that, right? I mean, it says parent training, there's a whole
Absolutely.
big body of work behind this. And so if you would like us to make that a priority, we'd be happy to. We
But
just would-
the reason why I says he brought it in that, because when the crisis happened, there was no protocol on what steps you should take to notify board members.
Exactly.
And then
Well,
what,
I see what you're saying, Danny.
so it's, you know what
How
I'm
can we
saying?
word that then?
Just crisis protocol, but you should add the board in there, the parents, staff. I think we kind of got lucky because if I remember right, Dr. Marsden, a lot of the counselors were just happened to be having a meeting at
Yeah,
the
PDC.
PDC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got really lucky there.
So, but if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't, Dr. Marsden wouldn't have been able to say, hey, we got them all right here, have them go over to that site.
Sure.
But
Perhaps
we,
communication protocols.
right, you want to have a communication protocol so you could contact those same people and make sure they were able to go there. We kind of got lucky on that piece.
Well, do you want to say like a crisis notification and response?
Protocol for all the different
Protocol,
We need
which
that,
is
but
broad?
we need parents to be informed even prior to, and
Yes.
our staff to be informed prior
Yes,
to. And
I agree.
You know, there's just, I think, steps we should be aware of as
No, I agree.
parents.
And I think-
Communication's key, I think.
And I agree with
Yeah,
you,
I
but if we know that the
But what do we
protocol
call-
is that if something happens, the kids will be taken to a site, and then the parents are not going to be allowed to go to that site, and then the kids will be brought back together with the parents at a different site, if we just tell parents that's the protocol, that'll help.
So I'm all for that, it's just how we word it, that's all I'm
agree.
asking.
Yeah, so am I hearing consensus that you want that topic,
Yep.
board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make that a topic.
Yes.
But
I like it.
Thank you.
also on the ed services, number 4, we could we could remove number 4 and use that wording that Mr. Gallo
Yeah, so
request for
that-
additional information regarding Arrowhead
Yeah,
Grove.
that would take number
That would take
4
care.
and build it into the new one that you've just
Right.
added, correct?
Yeah, I hear you, Dr. Hill. Yep.
So, of our top 10, how many spots did we fill?
Yeah, so you currently are, you're up to item 7. You have 7 items on your list currently.
Okay, so board, there's 7 items on the top 10. Any recommendation for additional items?
Well, I may recommend, based on some discussion tonight, you have a status of streamlined use of facilities process.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
If that's something that the board
That'd be great, thank
That would
you.
be a good.
would agree to, we could add that as item 8.
Tom, you okay in the audience on there?
Yeah, and board, you can revisit this in the future if you want. You don't have to do it all tonight, but if you want to give some
So I
thought.
move to approve with the changes.
Second.
Okay, 10.3, a motion has been made to accept the board top 8 at this point.
Sounds good.
Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. Ms. Medina? Okay, thank you. 10.4, board follow-up.
Second. With the movements of those
Sure,
two
with
items,
movement,
right.
so noted.
So the motion is the board follow-up with the elimination of number 4 on the ed services, which was moved.
Right.
All in favor?
Item 1 that was moved under business services and item 1 under school police.
Yep.
So noted.
All right, let's vote, please. Thank you. 10.5, future agenda items.
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. We're now to session 11.0. We're going into closed session, and we will be reporting out. So for those of you who have remained with us through this entire meeting, we will be reporting out at, after closed session. Feel free to stay. There's still some food in the back and beverage, I believe. Otherwise, we want to say thank you for coming, and regular session closed. This is a report out from closed session. Pursuant to Education Code Section 44942, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves suspension without pay of the following certificated employee. HR certificated 17-18-01. Need a motion? So moved. Second? Been moved and properly second. Let's vote. Thank you. Can I read these?
Yeah, I think so.
I think, okay. Okay, thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following employees: Leonard Buckner, Assistant Director, Enrollment and Placement Services, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined from funding 455. And Shauna Hoover, Coordinator, CAPS, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding 459. Scott Nelson, Coordinator, VAPA, funding 524, and VAPA is Visual and Performing Arts. Laura Ramos, Elementary School Principal, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined from funding 035. Brianna York, Elementary School Principal, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding 035. Margaret Castro, Elementary School Principal, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined. Funding 035.
So move.
It's been moved and properly second. Let's vote. Thank you, and this is the end of closed session.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Thank you, good night.